Chapter 235. The newest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all here. At the end of the third month, the envoy of the country of Liang arrived at the capital of Zhao. Grand Secretary Yuan, Honglu Temple official, and Marquis Xianping personally went to the city gate to welcome them. Originally, Marquis Xianping didn't want to come, but he didn't finish copying last time. The emperor said that if he went to welcome the envoy of the country of Liang, the task of copying would be cancelled out. Marquis Xianping reluctantly went to the city gate and slumped carelessly in the carriage. Even Grand Secretary Yuan almost couldn't stand it. However, when the envoy of the country of Liang arrived, Marquis Xianping's attitude changed completely. He got off the carriage and stood there calmly. Thousands of flowers bloomed like brocade. He had an imposing appearance and was as elegant as jade. It was no wonder that the emperor had him come to welcome the envoy. His face was the face of the country of Zhao. The officials from both sides exchanged greetings. Marquis Xianping usually didn't say much, so he naturally didn't say much at this time. Therefore, the outside world's evaluation of Marquis Xianping was always cold and reserved. The envoy of the country of Liang stayed in a garden of the imperial family, very close to the imperial palace. At night, the crown princess held a banquet in the Qilin Hall of the imperial palace to welcome the envoy of the country of Liang. Wangfei, it's time to get up. Consort Rui Wang was sleeping soundly when she was suddenly shaken awake by female official Su. She opened her eyes in confusion. What is it? What happened? Female official Su looked at her confused appearance and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. There is a banquet tonight. You forgot. It's time to get up and wash up. Isn't it still early? Consort Rui Wang looked at the sky and continued to sleep. After being pregnant, she slept a lot more. Female official Su didn't dare to pull her, and stayed by the bed to let her sleep for another hour before waking her up. Consort Rui Wang washed up and changed into a heavy Wangfei auspicious dress. She put on a pearl hairpin and ring and entered the palace with a dark face. Third Prince Rui Wang had entered the palace early, and had been following First Prince Ning Wang to receive the envoy. Rui Wangfei saw him from afar and waved at him. He didn't see her. Princess Consort. Maid Su reminded her softly. Concubine Rui Wang sighed. I know. Rules, manners. The emperor, Empress Xiao, and noble consort Zhuang were on the steps of the Qilin Hall. Consort Xu was grounded, consort Xian was sick, and the rest of the concubines were not qualified to attend this banquet. In the long hall, the envoy of the Liang state sat on the left, and the royal family and important ministers of the Zhao state sat on the right. Consort Rui Wang was sitting on a cushion, and Maid Su was sitting behind her on the wooden floor, ready to serve her at any time. Rui Wang came for a short while, and was called away by the emperor. This time, the Liang kingdom's royal family also came. Several princes were fighting to show their faces in front of the emperor and the Liang kingdom's royal family. The banquet soon began. Tonight's banquet was organized by the crown prince consort. No matter how much consort Rui Wang disliked Wen Linlang, she had to admit that her banquet was well organized. From the dishes to the decorations, from the staff to the programs, every step was flawless. After a few programs to liven things up, the crown prince consort arranged the highlight. To express our welcome to the various envoys, next, our Zhao State's consort Rui Wang and Zhao State's #1 palace musician Xia, will play a song, Fleeting Light Reflected Shadow. Wait, wasn't it a solo performance? When did it become a duet? Fleeting Light was a piece of music from the Liang state. It was created by the #1 musician of the 6 states, Moon Shadow. The original song was divided into 2 parts. The first part was called Fleeting Light, and the second part was called Reflected Shadow. However, the score for Reflected Shadow was lost. This song was originally played with a guqin and a flute, but the flute was more suitable for Fleeting Light, and the guqin was more suitable for Reflected Shadow. If the guqin and flute played Fleeting Light, the guqin would be easily suppressed by the flute. Normal people would not know these details. Perhaps only consort Rui Wang, and a few people who were very skilled in music would understand this point. Was Wen Linlang deliberately making a fool of her? Just as this thought flashed through Consort Rui Wang's mind, she heard a palace servant report. Musician Xie suddenly fell and is injured, so he can't come. Everyone was shocked. Consort Rui Wang thought that she was going to play a solo, but who knew that from the Liang state's side? A young man dressed in a navy blue robe stood up. I have long heard that Consort Rui Wang's guqin skills are unparalleled. This humble one is not talented, but I am willing to play a duet with Consort Rui Wang. This is. The emperor looked strangely at the young man who suddenly appeared. Prince Yu of the Liang state introduced. He is called Wu Ming, Lord Moonshadow's direct disciple. Everyone was shocked again, and their eyes revealed envy and admiration. Lord Moonshadow had always been a legend in the 6 states. They probably would not be able to see that lord in their lifetime, but to be able to see his direct disciple was also a great honor. Oh, so it was not to make a fool of her, but to make her a supporting character. They really knew how to make the best use of everything. Consort Rui Wang did not say a word. Wu Ming held the flute, cupped his hands and said, Consort Rui Wang, please. Consort Rui Wang gritted her teeth. Bring the guqin. Yes. Female official Su went outside the hall to bring the guqin case. Someone had already set up a table and cushion in the center of the hall. Consort Rui Wang took her place. Female official Su opened the guqin case, and then she was stunned. This was not the consort's guqin. Consort Rui Wang saw that she did not understand, so she also glanced sideways. With just one glance, she almost fainted. Where was her Qiuyu guqin? How did it become the Fushi guqin? The 2 gyukins were only different in style, but the sound was the same. But she was used to using her own guqin, and she never used a fake one. However, she also recognized that this was Gu Jiao's guqin, because the burnt part at the end of the guqin was too iconic, and the word Fushi was actually engraved on the body of the guqin. It was too much to fake it. Her memory was still fresh. The guqin case was hers. Of course, she did not think that Gu Jiao coveted her guqin, so she secretly switched their guqin. It must be that little eunuch who made a mistake. Oh. Your Zhao country is so poor that you have to use a burnt guqin? The one who spoke was a general of the Liang country. The Liang country's status was above the Zhao country, so the envoys did not put the Zhao country in their eyes at all. A few words of ridicule were already considered light. A civil official next to the general echoed. If the Zhao country lacks gyukins, our Liang country can give you a few for free. The envoys all laughed, and it was a roar of laughter. Consort Rui Wang was so angry that she wanted to smash their heads. Consort Zhuang's expression became a bit ugly. This talent show was actually her recommendation to the crown princess in front of Empress Xiao and the concubines in the harem, so that the crown princess would not have a chance to refuse. Her intentions were good. She hoped that Consort Rui Wang would shine at the banquet and fight for their family. But before she could fight for it, she lost face first. What is third daughter-in-law thinking? She can't even bring out a good guqin? Consort Zhuang was furious. Empress Xiao was also angry. Although she and Prince Ning's family fought to the death, that was behind closed doors. How could she lose face in another country? The emperor's expression also darkened. Using a broken guqin to entertain the envoys of the Liang country would not only make a fool of themselves, but it would also be easy for people to talk about it. The Liang country originally came to cut the fat meat of the Zhao country. Now they had a reason to cut it even more fiercely. This servant will go and change a guqin, Maid Su said. It's too late. Consort Rui Wang shook her head. They had already lost face. If they changed a guqin, it would only make them seem more cowardly and disgraceful. Consort Rui Wang closed her eyes. She did not care if Lord Yu Ying's disciple was still willing to play with her family. She took the lead and played the first note. It was only one note, but it stunned everyone present. Wu Ming was the fastest to react. When he saw Consort Rui Wang begin to play, he quickly spun the flute in his palm and put it to his lips to keep up with Consort Rui Wang's rhythm. This song was created by Wu Ming's teacher, and Wu Ming had practiced it countless times. Not to mention that he had the advantage in musical instruments. No matter how one looked at it, he would be the dominant one. Because she was not familiar with this Guqin, and because of the disturbance in her thoughts, Consort Rui Wang did not get into the mood at first. But gradually, she was attracted by the sound of the Guqin. How could there be such a good Guqin? How could there be such a beautiful sound of the Guqin? The sound of Fushi's Guqin suddenly overshadowed the sound of the flute. Everyone's expression changed. Empress Xiao murmured, What kind of Guqin is this? Was the Fushi Guqin you heard in the Liang country so beautiful? When the crown princess was young, she went to the Liang country with the Zhao country's envoy group. The crown princess looked at Consort Rui Wang in the center of the hall, with a complicated expression. I've only seen it, but I don't have the honor to hear it. After the song ended, the hall was dead silent. Obviously it was too beautiful. Everyone was still immersed in the sound of Consort Rui Wang's Guqin. Suddenly, the prince of the Liang country stood up, and took the lead to applaud Consort Rui Wang. Wonderful! Wonderful! The 2 consecutive claps were for Consort Rui Wang. Although the song was good, the flute did not occupy much of it. All of their attention was attracted by the melodious sound of the Guqin. Those who mocked Consort Rui Wang just now did not dare to say anything. If this was a lousy Guqin, there was probably no Guqin in the world. Wu Ming looked at Consort Rui Wang, and then looked at the Guqin in front of her. Even my master's lunar shadow Fushi Guqin is not as good as this. May I ask Consort Rui Wang, where did you get this Guqin? Lunar shadow Fushi Guqin was the most perfect imitation Guqin in the 6 countries. What kind of Guqin was better than this? Was it really Fushi? If other people said this, it might not have any weight. However, Wu Ming was Lunar Shadow's direct disciple. The emperor suddenly smiled. Old Third's wife had made him proud again. He could not say that she took the wrong one. Consort Rui Wang thought for a moment and said seriously, I borrowed it from a friend. Wu Ming. That friend is, Consort Rui Wang. Sorry, I can't tell you. Wu Ming cupped his hands and returned to his seat. With the wonderful performance of Consort Rui Wang and the Fushi Guqin, the crown princess's carefully arranged repertoire all became dull. Everyone only remembered this Guqin, and the person who played it, Consort Rui Wang. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that cannot be found on the internet are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/113199398. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Pavilion's mobile reading website. Chapter 236. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. Consort Rui Wang's performance was so good that even Rui Wang's face was shining. The emperor called the 3rd prince over and praised him. Rui Wang was overjoyed. Among all the princes, Rui Wang was actually the most inconspicuous one. In terms of uniqueness, he wasn't as special as his eldest brother, Prince Ning. In terms of nobility, he wasn't as valuable as his second brother, the crown prince. In terms of intelligence, he wasn't as smart as the 4th prince. In terms of appearance, he wasn't as good as the 5th prince. Since childhood, he had always been a prince who was easily overlooked. However, since the first day of the new year, he seemed to have started to get lucky. Go back and accompany your wife. Pregnancy is hard, the emperor said to Rui Wang. After that, he muttered a few more words. Who arranged for her to play the Guqin? What happens when a pregnant person gets tired? Noble consort Zhuang smiled. It's this concubine's fault. This concubine won't do it again. Although the emperor didn't approve of letting the 3rd prince's wife play the Guqin while pregnant, he had to admit that if it weren't for today's performance, the Zhao state wouldn't have been able to gain face. Noble consort Zhuang also understood this point, so she decisively admitted it. As for the crown prince's wife's contribution, she didn't mention it at all. The crown prince's wife had unintentionally planted a willow in the shade. In terms of strategy, it was understandable that the crown prince's wife used consort Rui Wang to let the Liang state's musicians show off. This was a way to treat guests and also a way to protect their rights and interests. If the Liang state was happy, wouldn't the subsequent negotiations be easier? The only thing was that consort Rui Wang was wronged. However, as an imperial daughter-in-law, she still had to have the awareness of making sacrifices. However, no one expected that consort Rui Wang would take out a broken guqin. This was undoubtedly humiliating the other party. You want me to play the role of your wife? All right, you're only worthy of my broken guqin. No one had expected this turn of events. However, an even bigger reversal was to come. The heart of the envoy from the state of Liang went up and down. What a wonderful welcome banquet. As for the guqin suppressing the flute, only people like consort Rui Wang and Wu Ming, who were proficient in music, understood. In the eyes of others, for the state of Zhao to come up with such an excellent piece, it must mean that the state of Liang was very important. What was a top-notch feast? This was it. After the banquet, consort Rui Wang was escorted out by maid Su. The emperor had enjoyed himself to the fullest tonight, so it was inevitable that he would drink a bit too much. Rui Wang sent him back to his sleeping quarters first, and then went outside the palace gates to meet up with consort Rui Wang. Just as she walked out of the Qilin Hall, a familiar voice called out to her. Consort Rui Wang, please wait. Consort Rui Wang turned around. Female official Su, who was holding the zither case, also stopped in her tracks. It was John Doe. John Doe looked younger under the candlelight. Perhaps it was because he had just arrived, so it was inevitable that he would put on airs at the banquet. After leaving the banquet, he felt much more relaxed. He bowed to consort Rui Wang. Among the 6 countries, the etiquette of the state of Liang and the state of Zhao was relatively similar. This might be because the state of Liang exported a lot of culture to the state of Zhao. Consort Rui Wang nodded slightly in return. What can I do for you, Lord John Doe? John Doe changed his arrogance before the ensemble and said politely, Consort Rui Wang, you can call me John Doe. Consort Rui Wang nodded slightly. She heard it, but whether she would call him that was another matter. John Doe looked at the zither in female official Su's hands. Can consort Rui Wang sell this zither to me? Consort Rui Wang was stunned by his sudden request. She looked him up and down and said, I said this is my friend's zither. How could she sell her friend's zither? Didn't this person even understand this truth? It was simply a rude request. John Doe understood that his request was unreasonable, but he really wanted this zither. Consort Rui Wang, please pass on my message. The price is negotiable. Consort Rui Wang looked at him as if he was an idiot, and turned to leave. John Doe looked at her back. Consort Rui Wang, I sincerely ask for the zither. Consort Rui Wang, please fulfill my request. Consort Rui Wang would not do anything to make things difficult for Gu Jiao. This was a good zither. If Gu Jiao wanted to sell it, she would have sold it long ago. Next door was the women's school, which was full of daughters of aristocratic families. Gu Jiao did not have to worry about not being able to sell the zither. This John Doe is really annoying. Consort Rui Wang walked away in a huff. John Doe looked at her back unwillingly. Prince Yu and his wife of the Liang kingdom also walked out of the hall. Seeing him shouting at consort Rui Wang, they could not help but frown slightly. John Doe was a court musician of the Liang kingdom, and was deeply doted on by the king of the Liang kingdom. That was why he was qualified to accompany them. But in terms of political connections, he could not help at all. He was purely playing around. Prince Yu said sternly, John Doe, pay attention to your identity. This is not the Liang kingdom. John Doe turned around and saluted. Prince consort, I have been rude. What were you saying to consort Rui Wang just now? Consort Yu asked. Consort Yu was a dignified and gentle woman. Her temper was not as cold as Prince Yu's. John Doe said, I want to buy the zither in consort Rui Wang's hands. Consort Yu did not ask how he could make such a rude request. Instead, she said, Why do you want that zither? John Doe said, I suspect that it is a real fushi. But looking at Consort Rue Wang's reaction, she doesn't seem to know. If she knew that it was a real fushi, would she still let a servant carry it? She treated that zither like an ordinary zither. There was not a trace of flaunting in her eyes. The others in the Zhao kingdom should not know either. Are you sure? Consort Yu asked. Wu Ming nodded. I'm sure. The reason why Master can make the best imitation zither is because he has seen the real fushi zither and heard the sound of the fushi zither. I was still young at that time, so I didn't go in. I just stood outside the curtain and listened to a song. I will never forget the sound of the zither in my life. Consort Yu was puzzled. But why was the fushi zither burned? And the two words fushi? John Doe thought for a moment and guessed. Those two words should have been engraved at the back. As for why it was burned black, I don't understand. Could it be that someone used the fushi zither as firewood and burned it? Could it be that wasteful? Consort Yu looked at Prince Yu. Does Consort Rue Wang know the owner of the fushi zither? Prince Yu frowned. I don't know. He looked at John Doe. Have you seen the owner of the fushi zither? John Doe shook his head regretfully. I have not seen him. Master has seen him and has drawn many portraits of him. But Master has always regarded those portraits as treasures, and does not allow any of us to peek. Prince Yu asked, You don't even know if it is a man or a woman. John Doe spread out his hands. Anyway, I don't know. Prince Yu had a headache. If it was really the fushi zither, then he was very tempted. Everyone knew that the king of the Liang kingdom was good at music. If he could get the fushi zither, he would definitely gain the king's favor. Consort Yu looked at her husband and grabbed his arm. She shook her head gently. Don't force it. Prince Yu's expression instantly softened. He said with a smile. I know. Madam, don't worry. I won't force it. Consort Yu thought for a moment and still felt that it was inappropriate. It is fate to be able to listen to the fushi zither. It is better not to disturb him. Don't you also like the zither? I will buy it for you. Not for the king. Prince Yu was famous for doting on his wife. Consort Yu shook her head. A gentleman does not take what others like. Prince Yu held his wife's hand. Okay, I will listen to you. John Doe was dumbfounded. No, Your Highness, is it really good for you to be so unprincipled? Consort Yu nodded and said, It is getting late. Let's go back and see how Ming-er is doing. Ming-er was the son of Prince Yu and his wife. He was 10 years old this year, and had followed them to the Zhao kingdom. In fact, this was not the first time Prince Yu and his wife had visited the Zhao kingdom. As early as 5 years ago, Consort Yu was still pregnant at that time. They only found out that she was pregnant halfway through the journey. It was too late to send her back. Moreover, Prince Yu was not at ease with her going back alone. The two stayed in the Zhao kingdom for a short period of time. The envoys had left, but the two continued to stay. They planned to return to the Liang kingdom after giving birth. 4 years ago, Consort Yu gave birth to a son in the Zhao kingdom. However, it was said that he died at birth. Now this child called Ming-er was the couple's youngest son. After losing a child, they treated this child especially well. The last time they came to the Zhao kingdom, they did not bring him. This time they brought him. Fortunately, this child did not disappoint. Although he was only 10 years old, he was a gifted and intelligent child prodigy. He had finished learning the 4 books and 5 classics, and was also very good at mathematics. The only problem was that he was too delicate and his body was a little weak. In the past few days, Prince Yu had brought him out to run horses for a while. When he turned around, he began to cough. Prince Yu, don't worry about Ming. He will be fine in a while. Consort Yu, you are not allowed to run horses with him in the future. The wind is so strong. Prince Yu, I know. The couple's voices gradually faded away. John Doe sighed and followed them out of the palace. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated even faster. Millions of novels will be read for free. Novels with connotations that cannot be found online are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg com/89642_896422826/113175904. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Bkuj mobile reading website. Chapter 237. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels can be read for free. Novels with content that can't be found online can be found here. After the banquet, the Crown Princess also returned to the Eastern Palace. The Crown Prince's expression was somewhat gloomy. "Your Highness." The Crown Princess walked forward. "What are you thinking about?" The Crown Prince sighed. "The third prince has been in the limelight too much recently." Actually, it wasn't that the third prince was in the limelight too much. It was that he wasn't in the limelight enough. Rui Wang herself was nothing to be afraid of. She didn't have much ambition and only focused on following Prince Ning. However, the more the third prince was favored, the more attention Prince Ning would receive from the emperor. He was originally the eldest son, so he was different from the other princes. The emperor brought Prince Ning with him to Jiangnan and left him in the court to supervise the country. It seemed that he had benefited, but who could say that the emperor's heart wouldn't favor his eldest son along the way? The Crown Princess looked at him sincerely. "Don't worry, Your Highness. The envoy from the Liang Kingdom has arrived. This is a good opportunity for Your Highness to shine in front of Father. Your Highness will definitely win Father's favor more than anyone else. I will help Your Highness." Rui Wang had originally planned to go to Gujiao after leaving the palace. However, it was already so late. She thought that Gujiao should have already gone back, so she decided to go find her during the day. Gujiao didn't know what had happened, but she was indeed not in the medical center. She was standing under the locust tree at the entrance of the Imperial College, quietly waiting for Xiao Lulang to finish school. The evening class was mainly for the teacher to answer questions, and the students to study by themselves. If they had questions, they would go to the podium to ask the teacher. If they didn't have questions, they would work on their own in their seats. Now that the evening class was over, there were supervisors coming out of the Imperial College one after another. Many people were familiar with Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao was not shy about her appearance. She often sent little Jingkong and Xiao Lulang to school. Little Jingkong and Xiao Lulang were not shy about her appearance either. They generously let others know that she was their sister and wife. At first, when everyone saw Gu Jiao, they were just curious about her appearance. Occasionally, they would take a few more glances at her, but they would not take the initiative to greet her. However, as Xiao Liulang's reputation rose in the Imperial College, more and more people nodded to Gu Jiao in greeting. Gu Jiao clearly felt that her status had changed. This kind of change was not brought about by her treatment. It was because Xiao Lulang had made a name for himself in his studies at the Imperial College. These high and mighty geniuses of the Imperial College were willing to take a proper look at her, a little peasant woman from the countryside. Although it was just a simple greeting, it transcended social class. How many people couldn't break through the class barrier above their heads in their entire lives? Therefore, in ancient times, studying was indeed the easiest way to change a person's fate. It was not that farming and business were bad, but for a carp to leap over the dragon's gate, it had to rely on studying. Classes have ended in Huixin Hall, but there are a few supervisors who are asking Xiao Huiyuan for advice. You may have to wait a little longer. Seeing that Gu Jiao had been waiting for a long time, a supervisor kindly said to Gu Jiao, "Do you want me to inform Xiao Huiyuan?" Gu Jiao politely said, "Thank you, I'm not in a hurry." "Then I'll go first," the supervisor said and left. Gu Jiao continued to wait for Xiao Lulang. Xiao Lulang did not know that Gu Jiao was waiting for him outside. He was explaining to a few supervisors the key points that they did not understand in today's class. Some supervisors who were not from Huixin Hall also came to listen to him. The progress of each grade was different, but they could all understand what Xiao Lulang said. The seniors did not feel that it was too simple, and the juniors did not feel that it was too profound. They could all learn something. Xiao Lulang was not so good at the beginning. He had to tutor little Jing Kong, who knew everything, and also tutor Gu Yan and Gu Xiaoshan, who did not know anything in primary school. Gradually, he developed a powerful skill of making simple topics in-depth and complicated topics simple. The palace examination was approaching. Everyone's time was not enough. Everyone who participated in the palace examination was their opponent. At this juncture, no one was willing to help their classmates improve their grades. At first, Xiao Luleng only taught Lin Qingye and Feng Lin. Occasionally, their classmates would ask Xiao Luleng questions, and Xiao Luleng patiently answered them. Gradually, more and more people came to look for Xiao Luleng. Even the seniors from Huixin Hall came to ask him for advice. Xiao Luleng had an advantage. He did not have any selfish motives when he taught. He never worried that his disciples would starve to death. He did not put on airs. Of course, he was also good-looking. He was pleasing to the eye and had a pleasant voice. In short, more and more people came to listen to Xiao Liulong's lectures. Those who thought that he got to where he was today by luck were fewer and fewer. His knowledge, conduct, and character were all very admirable. Of course, he did not pay attention to everyone. There were female students who came to ask him for advice. They were rejected by him without any grace. Many of them cried on the spot and swore that they would never look for him again. Humph, what's there to be proud of for a poor boy from the countryside? They came to ask you for advice because they think highly of you. You really think you're a delicious cake. That's right. Even Royal Prince is not as arrogant as you. Royal Prince appeared in the medical hall more often recently. He was met by the daughters of the female school a few times. When someone asked him for advice, he would try his best to answer. If he could not answer, he would politely say that it was inconvenient. The two of them were ranked first in the spring imperial examination. It was inevitable that people would compare them. Look, this is how a son of an aristocratic family should be. Xiao Liulong's reputation in the capital was polarized. The supervisor of the Imperial College thought that he was approachable and did not hide anything. The female students scolded him as a little cripple who had not seen the world and did not know the immensity of heaven and earth just because he had some achievements. That's all for today. I should go home. Everyone should also go back and rest. Xiao Luleng finished talking about another important point and closed the book. Everyone knew that he had a little wife at home. He was afraid that his little wife would be anxious from waiting. Everyone was not selfish or tactless. Xiao Luleng was already giving them face by being willing to spend time talking to them. There was no reason to keep Xiao Luleng here. Brother Xiao, many thanks. Many thanks, Brother Xiao. Everyone thanked him. He was the youngest, so calling him brother was a form of respect. Xiao Luleng nodded and walked out of the Imperial College with his walking stick. He saw Gu Jiao and his eyes moved. He walked forward and said, "Why are you here? Have you been waiting for a long time?" "No, I just got here." Gu Jiao shook her head. Xiao Luleng looked at the small holes in the ground from her steps and pretended to believe her. He took her small basket and carried it on his back. If this was in his previous life, wouldn't he be carrying his girlfriend's backpack? He was not worried that people would laugh at him. Gu Jiao thought about it and felt quite happy. "Here." Xiao Luleng suddenly handed over something wrapped in craft paper. "What is it?" Gu Jiao took it and opened the layers of craft paper. She found a piece of jerky covered in syrup. Gu Jiao looked at him in a daze. "It's for you." Xiao Luleng looked straight ahead. "Don't you like to eat it?" The jerky was given to him by one of the supervisors in Haoxing Hall. This type of jerky covered in syrup was their family's secret recipe. They didn't do business and only ate it for the children. A few days ago, Xiao Luleng gave him a lecture. To express his gratitude, he gave Xiao Luleng a piece of jerky. Xiao Luleng took it back and gave it to Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao gave it to her great-aunt and 3 younger brothers. She only tasted a small bite of the syrup and meat stuck on the craft paper. "Oh, why is it so delicious?" Gu Jiao, who didn't have much interest in food, was stunned by the taste. However, Gu Jiao didn't say anything. She didn't expect him to find out. "Where did you buy it?" Gu Jiao asked. "A classmate gave it to me," he said. Actually, he asked his classmate for it. This type of meat wasn't easy to make. He asked for it last time and only made it today. The dignified Xiao Huiyuan was actually greedy for food and asked his classmate for meat. He really wasn't afraid of being laughed at if word got out. Gu Jiao wasn't willing to eat it since it was given to her by someone else. Xiao Luling knew it would be like this. He said to her, "I left some for them. This is yours." Gu Jiao looked at him. She suddenly pinched the craft paper with both hands and broke the jerky into 2 pieces. She handed the bigger piece to him. "You eat too." Xiao Luling didn't refuse. He took the jerky with the craft paper. Gu Jiao began to enjoy her food. The jerky itself was spicy, but the syrup on the outside was very sweet. It shouldn't be ordinary white sugar. It was more like honey, so it had a slightly sour taste. It was really delicious. Gu Jiao held the jerky and ate it in small bites, like a little squirrel looking for food. Xiao Luling walked beside her and looked at her. Only when she finished eating and smacked her lips as if she hadn't had enough did he pass the untouched half of the jerky to her. As if he was afraid that she would refuse, he said, "I can't eat anymore. You eat it." "Oh." Gu Jiao didn't say anything. She took the jerky from his hand, but before eating, she broke off a small piece and fed it to him. Although the envoys of the Liang state had entered the capital, it didn't have much to do with the common people. Everyone still did what they were supposed to do. Little Jing Kong got up early in the morning to practice martial arts. Gu Jiao didn't have to make breakfast today, so senior servant Fong did it. Gu Jiao accompanied little Jing Kong to practice the basics for a while. When she wiped the little guy's sweat, Gu Jiao asked the question in her heart. "Why do you always practice these things?" Little Jing Kong tilted his head and said, "I only know how to do these." Gu Jiao. Oh no, she only cared about the child's learning, and forgot that martial arts also needed to be improved step by step. The first few years in the temple should be focused on teaching basic skills. Once the basic skills were solid, they would slowly teach some fist techniques and martial arts routines. Little Jing Kong left the mountain early, so he didn't have time to learn martial arts. Gu Jiao knew a bit of Tai Chi and 5 animal frolics, but she wasn't proficient in them. In her previous life, she only knew how to kill and steal from people, so it wasn't suitable to teach them to children. It seemed that she had to find a martial arts teacher for the little guy. The first person that came to Gu Jiao's mind was Gu Chengfeng. Recently, she had exploited him a lot, so it was easier for her to think of him. However, that guy was a thief. What if he taught little Jing Kong to be a thief if she wasn't careful? The image of little Jing Kong wearing a mask and acting as a ninja thief flashed through Gu Jiao's mind. She decisively shook her head. Gu Jiao then thought of Gu Changqing. Gu Changqing was a good person, but he was too busy. He was in the military camp all year round, so it was rare to see him. Gu Jiao secretly kept this in mind. After breakfast, Xiao Lulang and little Jing Kong went to school at the Imperial College. Gu Yan and Gu Xiaoshan went to school at the Qinghe Academy. Gu Jiao went to the medical center. Not long after she arrived at the medical center, concubine Rui Wang came. She was holding the zither case in her hands. In fact, she knew that the zither was very precious after she played it yesterday. The reason why she didn't show it in public was that she didn't want to attract too much attention. The two of them went to Gu Jiao's courtyard. Concubine Rui Wang told her that she took the wrong zither. "My little eunuch didn't do his job well. I'm sorry." Gu Jiao already understood what happened. She shook her head. "It's my negligence. Little Jiangli was a child after all. She should have checked the zither case." Concubine Rui Wang held Gu Jiao's hand. "Then I really should thank you for your negligence. If it wasn't for your zither yesterday, I would have been a duet." Concubine Rui Wang was also competitive, especially when it came to music. She was not willing to be a duet. Wen Linling must have known this, so she didn't tell me in advance. I was going to play with someone. And musician Xie. Why did he suddenly fall and hurt himself? I think she didn't want musician Xie to play. She had already asked around. Musician Xie was not injured. She wants to sacrifice me to please the envoys from the Liang kingdom. After Rui Wang returned home last night, she had already comforted concubine Rui Wang. She said that from a diplomatic point of view, the crown princess made the right move. It was just that concubine Rui Wang was wronged. A princess could marry into a distant country for the sake of the relationship between the two kingdoms. As a princess of the imperial family, it didn't seem like a big deal to sacrifice herself for the sake of the big picture. In the end, the crown princess was a politician, but concubine Rui Wang was not. Therefore, the two of them had conflicting views. Concubine Rui Wang was furious. Even her man was speaking up for that woman. Why doesn't anyone think that she did something wrong? Shouldn't she have told me about this matter first? Doesn't she think that she doesn't respect me enough? Concubine Rui Wang's views were very advanced in ancient times. She had awakened a part of her feminist consciousness. Then are you good at playing? Gu Jiao asked. Concubine Rui Wang raised her chin and said smugly, "Of course I'm good." She was still very reserved in the fu and didn't dare to be too ostentatious. However, in front of Gu Jiao, she was very relaxed. The little excitement and smugness that she had suppressed for an entire night were all expressed. Didn't you see that their eyes were wide open? Prince, you even applauded for me. That Lord Yu Ying's direct disciple is only SOSO. Look, look, look. Her little tail was so proud. The gloominess from before had completely disappeared. However, concubine Rui Wang was smug, but she didn't forget to deny it. Actually, it was all thanks to your zither. With my own zither skills, it would have been very difficult for me to gain an advantage in that song. Gu Jiao wasn't too surprised. After seeing the golden abacus and house deeds in Little Jing Kong, Gu Jiao had long stopped treating this lousy zither as a normal lousy zither. That musician from the state of Liang actually wanted to buy your zither, but I refused. Concubine Rui Wang looked at her as she spoke. Yes. Gu Jiao nodded in agreement. The zither was given to me by Little Jing Kong. I'm not selling it. Concubine Rui Wang breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that she was right to refuse John Doe yesterday. Her gaze fell on the zither. By the way, what kind of zither is this? It has fushi engraved on it. Could it really be that fushi zither? Concubine Rui Wang thought that Gu Jiao would deny it. Unexpectedly, Gu Jiao thought for a moment and said seriously, maybe. Concubine Rui Wang. The medical center was not busy in the morning. Concubine Rui Wang sat in Gu Jiao's courtyard for an hour and chatted with her for a while. Concubine Rui Wang only said one thing about the envoys. After all, she was not a politician, and she had no ambition, so she didn't care much about the envoy's visit. On the contrary, because concubine Rui Wang and concubine Yao were both pregnant, Gu Jiao was also interested in this topic. The two talked about pregnancy and the baby. After that, the medical center became busy, and concubine Rui Wang also returned home. On the other side, in a magnificent courtyard in the imperial garden, there were low coughs coming from inside from time to time. The servants guarding outside the door all looked dignified and didn't dare to breathe loudly. Inside the room, concubine Yu held her son, whose face was red from coughing, and asked worriedly and anxiously, "When will His Highness come back?" The attendant said, "Replying to Your Highness, His Highness and the ministers of Zhao country are quarreling fiercely. This servant can't see His Highness at all." Negotiations between two sides were like this. They were always quarreling, and when it was serious, they would even flip the table. Concubine Yu didn't care about what they were quarreling about. She was only worried about her son's illness. Her son had been coughing for 10 days. The imperial physician they brought had been using medicine, but he obviously couldn't cure her son's illness. The attendant hesitated and asked, "How about, this servant goes to the palace to see Empress Xiao and ask her to send an imperial physician from Zhao country?" Concubine Yu thought for a while. "Wait, don't go to the palace first." At an important moment in the negotiation, she was worried about putting her son's life in the other party's hands. Although the imperial family of Zhao country would definitely not harm her son, if someone wanted to use the imperial family of Zhao country to rebel, her son would be in danger. Furthermore, even if no one rebelled, the imperial family of Zhao country raising the price by treating her son was not beneficial to the Liang country's negotiation. After all, she had been a princess for so many years, so she had more thoughts than ordinary people. Concubine Yu ordered, "Go and find out which famous medical centers are there in the capital. Be careful not to be discovered." Yes. The attendant changed into the clothes of an ordinary manservant and left the garden without being noticed. 2 hours later he returned. Princess, this servant has inquired. There are 3 largest medical centers in the capital: Lingji Hall, Tongda Hall, and Huichun Hall. There is also a miracle hall. It is said that their medical skills are not bad. Concubine, you asked, which is the nearest medical center? The attendant said, Miracle Hall. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/113172974. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in a second. www.zhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. Chapter 238. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that cannot be found on the internet are all available here. Jiang Shi's recovery was a pleasant surprise. Gu Jiao prepared to perform the last operation on him. This was only a minor operation. After that, he could rest in peace and did not need to be operated on again. Gu Jiao had just put on sterile gloves when Princess Yu brought her son to the door. In order to hide her identity, Princess Yu wore the dress of an ordinary noblewoman. She only wore 2 or 3 pearl hairpins on her head. But even so, those 2 or 3 hairpins were extremely precious in the eyes of the common people. The second boss personally received her. The second boss had good eyesight. This madam's complexion was rosy, and did not seem to be ill at all. However, the 10-year-old child in her arms was pale and coughed softly from time to time. He said, "May I ask if this young master is here to see a doctor?" The chamberlain stepped forward and stood between him and his master. How could the common people be qualified to speak to the princess of the Liang country? The status of the Liang country was higher than that of the Zhao country. The princess of the Liang country was naturally more valuable than the princess of the Zhao country. Not to mention a small medical center owner. Even an official of the imperial court may not be qualified to speak to his princess. Mother. Ming'er felt uncomfortable. He pulled on Princess Yu's sleeve and leaned his small body softly in her arms. Princess Yu did not have time to talk to the second boss. She touched her son's forehead to comfort him. Don't be afraid. We are at the medical center. There will be a doctor to treat you soon. The second boss touched his nose embarrassedly. It seemed that the other party was not easy to get along with. After opening the medical center for so many years, he had seen countless people. He had seen all kinds of people. Naturally, he would not feel uncomfortable because of this. He politely looked at the chamberlain and said, "May I ask what is wrong with the young master? Tell me the symptoms, so that I can recommend a suitable doctor for the young master." "Who is the most skilled doctor here?" the chamberlain asked bluntly. That must be his Xiaogu. But his Xiaogu was performing an operation on Jiang Shi and could not come. What's more, the child's illness was not an emergency. The second boss thought for a while and called Dr. Song over. "Song Dafu, you check this little Gongzi." Dr. Song said to Princess Yu and her son, "Please come inside." "You're the best doctor in the clinic?" The servant looked at him suspiciously. "You don't look very old. You're only 20 years old, right? You can't even afford to hire an experienced doctor." How did the reputation of your medical center come about? In the eyes of ordinary people, a doctor's medical skills were often linked to his age. The older he was, the more experience he had. However, those who had seen Gu Jiao knew that this was not absolute. Gu Jiao was the youngest doctor in the clinic, but no one doubted her medical skills. Dr. Song didn't want to argue with the patient right now, but he was not as tactful as the second boss, so he said, "I usually treat children, so I have a lot of experience in this area. But in terms of medical skills, I'm indeed not ranked as the most skilled doctor. But Miss Gu is busy now. If you're not in a hurry, you can wait in the lobby. The Chamberlain was about to get angry when he heard this. Even the Liang country's emperor didn't dare to neglect my princess. You're just a small doctor. I think you're too arrogant. You're dismissed. Princess, you said. The Chamberlain. Yes. How long will that person take? Princess, you asked Dr. Song. Dr. Song said. Soon, it's a small operation. It'll be done soon. Princess, you nodded. Okay, I'll wait. The Chamberlain whispered. Princess. Princess, you gave him a look that told him to shut up. The Chamberlain didn't say anything. Gu Jiao didn't let Princess Yu wait for too long. She came out in a quarter and a half. When Princess Yu saw that it was a 15-year-old girl, she realized that the doctor had indeed said Miss Gu and not Dr. Gu. But she was a little too young. Gu Jiao was used to this kind of questioning gaze. She calmly brought the person into the consultation room. She first checked the child's pulse, then took out a clean tongue depressor from the jar on the table. Open your mouth. Ming had never been examined like this before and was a little scared. Princess Yu also looked at Gu Jiao strangely. Gu Jiao said, This won't hurt. I have to press your tongue to see your throat. Hearing this, Princess Yu was relieved. Be good, listen to the doctor. Gu Jiao didn't like to be used with tongue depressors when she was young. Too much pressure would make her feel uncomfortable. Her movements were quick and gentle. Before Ming could feel uncomfortable, she had already taken out the tongue depressor. The tonsils were a little red and swollen. Gu Jiao took out the stethoscope and hung it on her ear. Undress. Princess Yu had never seen such a strange thing and examination method, but she just thought that it was an original invention of the clinic and didn't think much of it. She went to undress her son, but her son grabbed her wrist. Men and women should not touch each other. I will not undress in front of her. Since ancient times, there was a saying that men and women should not sit together when they were 7 years old. He was already 10 years old and was a man. Gu Jiao looked at him fiercely. You have to undress whether you want to or not. Especially a female hooligan. Ming who didn't listen to the doctor when they came to the clinic. Ming clothes were successfully removed. He looked at Gu Jiao in humiliation as she used a strange thing to listen to his chest and back. He felt that he was being touched all over. How shameful. Pneumonia. Gu Jiao gave the diagnosis. Is it serious? Princess Yu asked worriedly. Gu Jiao took off the stethoscope. Mild pneumonia, not too serious. Take some medicine first. Princess Yu frowned. But he has been coughing for more than 10 days. She meant that coughing for more than 10 days was not serious. Gu Jiao understood, but Gu Jiao couldn't go against her heart and say that her son's condition was serious. His life would be in danger immediately. Pneumonia was considered serious in ancient times, but it was not a problem for her. She had anti-inflammatory medicine. Gu Jiao said, It will slowly spread to the lungs. He has to take medicine seriously from now on. Otherwise, he would have to be on an intravenous drip. Gu Jiao didn't say anything about this. Gu Jiao stamped the written list and handed it to Princess Yu. Go to the counter and pay the bill. I will give you the medicine later. Princess Consort Yu took the list and left, half believing it. Although this little girl looked like an experienced doctor, she didn't dare to believe that she could cure her son's illness so easily. Princess Yu took her son out. Gu Jiao opened the small medicine box. There was children's cough syrup in it. It was a medicine independently developed by the Research Institute. It was safer and more effective than similar medicines on the market. Of course, the price was several times more expensive. She gradually found a problem. Everything in the medicine box was from the Research Institute, not from the market. Did this mean that she could only use things from the Research Institute? Or as long as it was from the Research Institute, she could use it? So far, there were only the medicines she needed and simple surgical supplies in the medicine box. There were no instruments for the time being. Otherwise, she would be able to operate on Gu Yan. Gu Jiao put the anti-inflammatory medicine and cough syrup in separate porcelain bottles and gave a small spoon of 10 milliliters. Syrup 3 times a day, 1 spoon each time. Pills 2 times a day, 2 pills each time. Take it after meals. She paused and looked at the sky. Can I drink it once now? Have you eaten? This sentence woke her up. Today, she was so focused on treating her son that she even forgot to give him breakfast. Of course, it was not that she didn't prepare it, but when she took it out, Ming'er didn't want to eat it, so she put it aside and planned to eat it later. But after a while he got on the carriage and came to the clinic. It was almost noon now, but the child didn't drink a sip of water. Princess Yu looked at her son guiltily. Are you hungry? It's all my fault. I forgot that you didn't eat breakfast. Ming'er was sick and had a bad appetite, so he didn't feel hungry. But Princess Yu didn't want to delay, and cancelled the idea of going back immediately. There would be no one there. At this time, Prince Yu must be quarreling with the ministers of Zhao country in the palace. Princess Yu brought her son back to the side room of the clinic, and ordered the servants to buy some delicious snacks. When she learned that there was a chef in the clinic, she gave the chef money to prepare some food. After eating, Ming'er drank the medicine and fell asleep. Princess Yu didn't disturb him and let him sleep. Unknowingly, it was afternoon. After the elementary school of the Imperial College, Lu Quan went to pick up little Jing Kong and sent him to the clinic. After that, Lu Quan went to the Qinghe Academy to pick up Gu Yan and Gu Xiaoshun to learn from Master Lu. Little Jing Kong squatted on the sand in the backyard of the clinic and taught little Jiang Li how to write with a bamboo stick. Jiang, this is your Jiang and this is Li. Then how do you write my brother's name? Jiang is the same as you. Sure is like this. Little Jing Kong wrote a big sure on the sand. There was no sand in the backyard. Little Jing Kong wanted to play, so Gu Jiao got a pile of sand for him. Little Jiang Li wrote his brother's name seriously. His brother's name was easy and he wrote it quickly, but hers was difficult. Little Jing Kong was a smart child, but he was not an experienced teacher. Although he often checked Gu Yan and Gu Xiaoshun's homework, he always became angry halfway through teaching. It was the same for teaching little Jiang Li. Little Jiang Li could never learn, so he became a little pufferfish again. He was a gentlemanly pufferfish. He could not get angry at the little girl, so he could only sulk behind a big tree. Ah, I'm so anxious. Princess Yu went to the kitchen. On the way back to the room, she saw a little bean under the big tree baring his fangs and brandishing his claws. That little bean was very cute. His little head was round, his face was red, his eyes were black and bright, and his eyelashes were long and curly. The way he waved his little fists was really amusing. Princess Yu's heart trembled when she saw how cute he was. Digression, it's the last day of the double event. Don't waste your monthly votes. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. You can find all the novels that you can't find online. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_896/113149480. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. Chapter 239. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are available here. She couldn't help but walk over and ask softly behind the little boy. Baby, where's your family? Baby? Little Jing Kong, who had never been called that before, trembled and turned around in a daze. He looked around and looked at her adorably. Are you calling me? There didn't seem to be any other children here. But baby. Oh, so embarrassing. He's already 4 years old. Little Jing Kong's little face suddenly turned red, and he became even more adorable. Princess Yu's heart softened. She squatted down in front of little Jing Kong and looked at him at eye level. Are you alone? Where's your family? Little Jing Kong tilted his head and said, My family is busy. Princess Yu was stunned by his cuteness. You're from the medical center? Little Jing Kong thought for a while and nodded with his hands behind his back. Little Jing Kong was wearing the Imperial College's uniform and cap. He looked like a mini official, but his hair was a little short. Rumble! Little Jing Kong's stomach growled. He lowered his head and looked at his little belly with resentment. Why was he growling at this time? Did he not want to lose face? Princess Yu chuckled and put the food box on a stone. She opened the box and took out a small plate of crab cake for him. Here. This was crab cake bought from outside. It was a little cold, so she took it to the kitchen to heat it up. This kind of thing could be done by the servants, but she had been cooped up in her room for the whole afternoon and wanted to go out for a walk. Little Jing Kong looked at the yellow dessert and swallowed his saliva. He sighed and said, "Thank you, but I can't eat meat." Little Jing Kong had seen Su Zhozhou and Chu Yu eat the crab cake, so he knew there was meat inside. Even if there was no meat, most desserts would use lard for texture. Gu Jiao had told him about this, so Little Jing Kong usually didn't eat outside. Princess Yu was stunned. "Why can't I eat meat?" The little fellow was too embarrassed to admit that he was dizzy. He thought for a moment and said, "Maybe it's because I used to be a monk?" Princess Yu was even more puzzled. Such a cute little fellow had actually become a monk? Was that why his hair was so short? Princess Yu looked at his little head again and asked gently, "When did you become a monk?" Little Jing Kong said honestly, "I was very young. Master said that I was born in a temple. I grew up in a temple, so I became a monk." Princess Yu asked again, "Then why didn't your parents bring you down the mountain?" Little Jing Kong shook his head. "I don't have parents." "No, I have parents now. Jiao Jiao's parents are my parents." When he said these words, there was not a trace of complaint or sadness in his eyes. He was a completely sunny and cute little boy. However, Princess Yu felt her heart clench as if it was in pain. She looked at Little Jing Kong and asked anxiously, "How old are you this year?" Little Jing Kong raised his finger. 4 years old. Princess Yu's heart suddenly ached. If her child was still alive, he would be 4 years old now. After Ming-Er woke up, Princess Yu took her back to the Imperial Garden. Along the way, the Chamberlain didn't know if it was an illusion, but he felt that the Princess Yu was in a particularly bad mood. On the other side, in the Imperial Palace, the envoys of the Liang Kingdom represented by Prince Yu were quarreling with the ministers of the Zhao Kingdom in the Qilin Hall. The Liang Kingdom actually tried to use a lime mortar technology to exchange for the most advanced bellows technology of the Zhao Kingdom and the new glutinous rice mortar technology. To be honest, the lime mortar technology was the newest technology of the Liang Kingdom compared to the low-level water drainage technology that the Liang Kingdom gave the Zhao Kingdom. However, the Zhao Kingdom didn't need this technology. The Zhao Kingdom already had a better glutinous rice mortar. Furthermore, they didn't think that one technology was enough and wanted to exchange the bellows technology. Wasn't that too shameless? The imperial court was very glad that they managed to control the bellows in time. Otherwise, with the Liang Kingdom's shameless behavior, they might have stolen the technology from the small county and turned around to accuse the Zhao Kingdom of stealing from them. This wasn't the most infuriating thing. What was more infuriating was that the Liang Kingdom actually wanted to open up an unequal trade between the two sides, using the Liang Kingdom's inferior handicrafts to exchange for the Zhao Kingdom's superior silk and tea leaves. It was said that Grand Secretary Yuan fainted on the spot. The prince's expressions weren't any better. No matter how they fought internally, they should always be on the same side. The Liang Kingdom was really too much. How was this a negotiation? This was simply a blatant robbery. But what could they do? They could only blame the Zhao Kingdom for being too weak and the Liang Kingdom for being too strong. After arguing for a whole day, both sides' officials were fuming with anger. Only Prince Yu was leisurely and didn't seem to be affected at all. It was as if he was very confident in the negotiation. It's getting late. Everyone should go back first and think about it for a night. There's no rush. In any case, this prince will stay in the capital for a few days. The Zhao Kingdom's officials were so angry that they couldn't roll their eyes. Of course you're not in a rush. You're here to slaughter a fat sheep. In any case, you're not afraid of not being able to slaughter it. Prince Yu didn't care about how everyone's faces were as black as charcoal. He walked out of the palace with a smile. The crown prince and Ningguang looked at each other, and saw the sparks in each other's eyes. This negotiation was very important. Whoever could take back the initiative from the Liang Kingdom's envoy would be able to prove to Fu Huang that they had the ability to inherit the throne. Because imperial consort Rui Wang had made a name for herself at the welcoming banquet, Prince Yu, who loved music, had a good impression of Rui Wang and her husband. The emperor saw this and sent his third son to be Prince Yu's guide. These few days, his third son took Prince Yu around the capital to play as a host. Just from this point alone, Prince Ning's line had many opportunities to privately contact Prince Yu. After leaving the palace, Rui Wang invited Prince Yu to tour the lake. Prince Yu had been to the capital before, and had a deep impression of the capital's pleasure boats. He was very willing to go. The two boarded the 3-story luxurious pleasure boat that Rui Wang had prepared earlier. However, no one expected that halfway through their tour, Prince Yu's room would suddenly catch fire. The fire was fierce and soon, the entire pleasure boat was on fire. Because Prince Yu was roasting fish with Rui Wang on the deck, he wasn't trapped in the room by the fire. However, because the pleasure boat was on fire, everyone had to jump into the water to escape. Prince Yu was no exception. It was a nice tour of the lake, but he almost swam to death. Prince Yu returned in disappointment. The pleasure boat was burned to ashes, so there was no way to find out how the fire had started. The news quickly spread to the imperial palace. The emperor called Rui Wang over and scolded him. "What are you doing? I had you receive the envoy, but you caused such a big mess. Didn't you take precautions in advance?" Rui Wang felt very wronged. He swore that he had taken precautions. He didn't know how many times he had checked, afraid that something would go wrong. Who would have thought that the boat would catch fire in the end? Rui Wang was scolded by the emperor. When he came out of the imperial study, he met Ning Wang, who had been waiting for him outside the imperial palace. Ning Wang asked worriedly, "Third brother, are you okay?" Rui Wang said with red eyes, "I'm fine, it's just, I messed up." Father said, "I don't need to worry about the envoy. He told me to go kneel in the hall of prayer for years." Ning Wang patted his shoulder and said with relief, "It's best that you're fine. Big brother will kneel with you." Ning Wang accompanied Rui Wang to kneel on the stone path of the hall of prayer for years. The hall of prayer for years was where the emperor reflected. If a prince made a mistake, he would only kneel in the imperial study. Kneeling in the hall of prayer for years meant that the matter was very serious, and the emperor did not plan on forgiving it easily. Rui Wang hurriedly shook his head. "Big brother, this matter has nothing to do with you. I didn't do it well." Ning Wang looked at him and said, "You are my younger brother. You made a mistake. As your big brother, I didn't teach you well." Ning Wang and Rui Wang were punished to kneel together. The emperor did not say anything. Everyone knew Ning Wang's temper. He was the most protective of his younger brothers. The emperor sighed. The crown princess has been to the Liang Kingdom and has a certain understanding of the envoys. Leave the reception to her and the second prince. The crown prince received the order in the face of danger, and went to the imperial garden with the crown princess to check on Prince Yu's situation. Prince Yu was actually fine. The fire started in the side room. He was on the deck and jumped into the lake early. He came back to change his clothes and was fine. He did not want Princess Yu to worry and planned to play it down. When he entered the room, he found that his Princess Yu's expression was not right. Ming slept too much in the afternoon and went to play in the garden. Princess Yu sat alone in front of the window with a dull look in her eyes. "Madam, what's wrong?" Prince Yu walked over nervously. "Has Ming-er's condition worsened?" Princess Yu turned around. Only then did Prince Yu realize that her eyes were red and swollen, as if she had cried. He hurriedly said, "Madam, what happened?" Tears appeared in Prince Yu's dry eyes again. "Your Highness, do you think that child? Could it be that she is not dead?" Prince Yu was stunned for a moment before he understood who she was talking about. Prince Yu had 2 sons and 1 daughter, but they were not his own flesh and blood. They were the children of his brother. His brother died in battle and his sister-in-law died of illness. He adopted his 3 nephews and nieces under his name. Ming-er was the youngest and was not even a month old when she came to their family. Ming-er was pregnant when she was 4 years old. So strictly speaking, The child who died early was their only flesh and blood. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that cannot be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_896428266/113146788. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. Chapter 240. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are novels with connotations that cannot be found online here. Prince Yu understood that his wife had been wrong these years. Although his brother had announced to the public that he had died in battle, he had actually committed a great crime. The monarch, who was their father, was so angry that he wanted to banish his entire family to the frontier fortress and demote his grandchildren to commoners. In order to protect his children, he had asked for an imperial decree to adopt them under his name. She had treated them as her own, especially Ming. She had really raised her with a lot of shit and urine. He had also wanted to give her a child. Unfortunately, they were unlucky. They had finally gotten pregnant, but unfortunately, they had died. He knew that she had never recovered from the pain of losing her son. Prince Yu and his wife were talking when an eunuch came to report. The Crown Prince and Crown Princess of Zhao Country have come to visit. Only then did Princess Yu look at Prince Yu with a puzzled expression. Why are they here? Visit what? About Ming'er's illness? But I did not say Ming'er was sick. Could it be that the news had leaked when she went out to treat her illness today? It's not Ming'er, it's me. Prince Yu evaded the important details and told his wife about the boat catching fire. The boat caught fire, but everyone is fine. Princess Yu was still afraid that she had been targeted. This was not a good feeling. Fortunately, it was not. Are you really fine? Princess Yu looked at her husband. Prince Yu smiled and shook his head. I'm really fine. If you don't believe me, I'll let you check at night. Princess Yu gave him a displeased look. With such a tease, Princess Yu was not as grief-stricken as before, but she was not in the mood to see guests. Princess Yu stayed in the room to rest. Prince Yu went to see the Crown Prince and Crown Princess. The imperial family of Zhao Country was not bad-looking. At least the princes were all good-looking. Unlike the imperial family of Liang Country, other than Ming-er, who was unbelievably beautiful like his mother, the rest could not compare to the imperial family of Zhao Country. The Crown Prince was the heir to the throne of a country. His mannerisms, words, and actions were most similar to the emperor of Zhao Country. There was also a sense of maturity in his youth, but he did not lose his scholarly elegance. Actually, at the very beginning, Prince Yu had the intention of marrying his daughter to the Crown Prince of Zhao Country. When he came to Zhao Country 5 years ago, he had seen the Crown Prince and felt that this child was not bad. The age was also suitable, and it just so happened that the two countries had plans for a marriage alliance at the time of the monarch. However, after the death of his youngest son, he was no longer in the mood and this matter was delayed. When he came to arrange his daughter's marriage, he heard that the Crown Prince of Zhao Country had already been betrothed by the emperor. In the end, the two countries did not have a marriage alliance. This did not affect the country of Liang much. After all, the country of Liang was superior. In comparison, the country of Zhao needed the country of Liang more. The Crown Prince, his wife, and Prince Yu were seated in the reception pavilion. The Crown Prince brought along an imperial physician, and had the imperial physician take Prince Yu's pulse. Prince Yu waved his hand. No need, this prince is fine. The Crown Prince said guiltily. This time, it was third brother's negligence that almost caused a disaster. Fortunately, Prince Yu is fine. Hey, your third brother's negligence? Prince Yu pretended not to know that the Crown Prince's line and King Ning's line were in a mess. He took a sip of tea and did not speak. The Crown Prince originally planned to get close to Prince Yu. After all, the Crown Princess had been to the country of Liang and met Prince Yu. However, Prince Yu did not have much interest in the Crown Princess at all. The main reason was that he really did not have any impression of the Crown Princess. Back then, the Crown Princess followed the envoys to the country of Liang because her teacher, Zhuang Xianji, was one of the envoys. The second reason was that she was a talented girl of the country of Zhao, and the country of Zhao was counting on her to win glory for the country. However, the status of the country of Zhao was too low. At that time, the envoys to the country of Liang were also from the Jin and Yan countries, both of which were superior countries. They did not need to prepare any geniuses, and the glory was theirs. The Crown Princess could not use her fists and feet. She could only watch as the two fools from the Jin and Yan countries messed up the questions that she knew how to solve. She did not even have the chance to pick up a pen. 10 years ago, when Linlang was only an 11-year-old girl, she couldn't be expected to dress up so beautifully at that age that it would be unforgettable. Now she was really so beautiful that it was suffocating. Unfortunately, Prince Yu was not lustful either. The scene was awkward, and the Crown Prince braced himself to chat awkwardly. A child's voice came from the courtyard, and the Crown Princess suddenly said, "Is the young master outside?" Prince Yu nodded. "Yes, it's my son." The Crown Princess smiled. "I'll go accompany the young master." Prince Yu doted on his son, and this was one of his weaknesses. He did not object to the Crown Princess's words. The Crown Princess went to the courtyard. Ming-er was playing on the swing alone in the courtyard. She was not like this a few days ago and was very listless. Gu Jiao's medicine must have taken effect. The child did not know how to pretend, and began to play around when she was comfortable. However, even when she was playing, Ming-er was quieter than ordinary children. Qin Chuyu, on the other hand, wouldn't sit quietly on the swing. He would either climb onto the pole or curl up on a rope like a monkey. Ming. The Crown Princess came to his side and called him softly. Ming-er turned her head strangely. "Who are you?" The servants and palace maids bowed to the Crown Princess. The Crown Princess smiled. "My surname is One. You can call me Sister One. Do you like to play on the swing? Or do you want to play something else?" "There's nothing here," Ming-er muttered. The Crown Princess smiled and reached out her hand. There was a crystal-clear bead in her palm. "This is for you." Ming-er hesitated and reached out to take it. However, the moment he was about to touch the bead, the Crown Princess clenched her hand. When she opened it again, the bead turned into a red flower. Ming-er's eyes widened. The Crown Princess threw the red flower up, and a miracle happened. That red flower actually turned into a little bird, and flew away with a flap of its wings. Ming-er was dumbfounded. "Wow! Aya, your hair." The Crown Princess reached out to stroke Ming-er's hair. Her fingertips circled behind his ear. When she brought it to Ming-er's eyes, her fingertips happened to pinch the first jade bead. Ming-er, who was always reserved, couldn't help but clap. "Amazing! Is this an immortal spell?" She smiled and said, "It's a trick." In truth, it was just a smokescreen. The item was hidden in her sleeve. The technique had to be fast and beautiful. Only then could people not see through the trick. Ming-er was deeply attracted by the Crown Princess trick. "Do you still want to see it?" the Crown Princess asked. Ming-er nodded like he was pounding garlic. The Crown Princess said, "Then let me play with your swing. In exchange, I will perform a magic trick for you." Fun that came with a price was always more cherished than fun that came with no effort. Ming-er played very happily. Prince Yu and the Crown Prince finished their awkward conversation and walked out to see this scene. A look of surprise flashed through their eyes. Prince Yu was surprised because Ming-er was not an easy child to get close to. He was naturally intelligent and had seen a lot. Normal people could not attract him. The Crown Prince was surprised because he had never seen such a childlike Wen Linlang. She was always dignified and reserved in front of him. She did not overstep her boundaries, but she also lacked some spirit. But he found that when she was coaxing the child, she also smiled like a child. It was as though he saw the Linlang from many years ago with Aheng. It was getting late. The Crown Prince and his wife bid farewell to father and son. Sister One, are you also coming to play tomorrow? Ming called out to the Crown Princess. The Crown Princess looked at Prince Yu, then looked at Ming gently saying, I can't leave the palace tomorrow. If you want, you can come to the Eastern Palace to look for me. Ming knew that entering the palace was a big matter. Thus she looked up at her Lord Father with an expression that said, If you don't let me go, you're not a good Lord Father. Prince Yu cleared his throat and said, If you want to go out to play, you need to ask your mother. If your mother agrees, you can go. Leaving the imperial family's gardens, the Crown Prince and the Crown Princess sat in a carriage returning to the palace. The Crown Princess in the carriage returned to her former dignified and reserved self. The Crown Prince sighed. The Crown Princess looked at him. What is your Highness thinking? The Crown Prince said truthfully, This monarch is thinking, did you also coax Ahing like this in the past? The Crown Princess was slightly startled. The Crown Prince said, When Ahing was young, he was a crybaby. This monarch could do nothing about him. But this monarch heard that he was very obedient to you. When you coaxed him, he would stop crying. The Crown Princess smiled and said, That was something that happened when we were young. This concubine had nearly forgotten about it. How could your Highness still remember? Your Highness is someone that will become the emperor. Your Highness cannot keep thinking about such useless things. The Crown Prince thought for a bit, then nodded, holding the Crown Princess' hand. Lin Lang is right. This monarch will not do it in the future. You have done very well this time. Prince Yu and his wife have a deep affection for each other. For the sake of their son, their attitude toward the Eastern Palace will not be too bad. The Crown Prince's expectations were correct. The next day, when the envoy from the country of Liang came to the Imperial Palace to discuss the matter of technology and trade, Prince Yu's attitude toward the Crown Prince was much better. Princess Yu was worried about her son entering the palace alone, so she personally brought Ming to the Eastern Palace. In truth, she was worried about the child that she had met at the medical clinic. She kept thinking, could it be that her child did not die that year, and they had made a mistake? After the child was buried, he was dug out of the coffin by someone. It was not as though this sort of situation had never happened before. A few hours after a child was buried, he would let out a weak cry. Could it be that some kind-hearted person passed by and heard the child's cry? Could that fatherless and motherless little monk be? Princess Yu could not wait to see little Jing Kong again. Mother, mother. Ming shook Princess Yu's shoulder. Princess Yu returned to her senses and looked at her son embarrassedly. What's wrong? Ming said aggrievedly. I called you so many times just now, but you didn't hear me. Princess Yu touched her son's cheek. I'm sorry, it's mother's fault. What do you want to say to mother? Ming said. I want to go fishing with Sister One. Mother will go too. Princess Yu looked troubled. She was not in the mood to do anything now. The Crown Princess said pleasantly. Ming it's been hard for Princess to take care of you. Princess is tired. How about letting Princess rest here for a while? The two of us will go fishing and catch 2 big and fat fish to nourish Princess's body. Ming heard that it was feasible. All right then, mother, wait for me here. Princess Yu wanted to say something but stopped. The Crown Princess said, It's not very far away, just at the small pond in front. You can see us from the corridor of the attic. Hearing this, Princess Yu was relieved. Ming looked very quiet and obedient, but in fact she was not an ordinary child. Princess Yu went up to the attic. The palace maids of the Eastern Palace were very considerate. They moved a soft couch to the corridor, and brought over a wooden table to place tea and snacks. The railings were 1 by 1. Princess Yu lay on the rattan chair, and could see the scenery below. The sun was especially strong today, so it was very comfortable to lie here. Princess Yu looked at Ming who was feeding the fish and fishing by the pond, and a smile flashed across her eyes. However, when she thought of the child who died young, her smile gradually faded. Today, the elementary school of the Imperial College ended very early. Little Jing Kong went to Su Kanji's house to play after getting Gu Jiao's permission. Qin Qiu also went. Recently, the 3 of them had become the 3 scumbags of elementary school. They were a scary group that all children would avoid when they saw them. Su Kanji's house was being renovated recently, so it was very noisy. Qin Chuyu couldn't stand it, and invited the two of them to the imperial palace. Little Jing Kong and Su Kanji went to the imperial palace once. When they came back, Su Kanji showed off to his father and grandfather about what he saw and did, which made his father and grandfather envious. This time, they didn't say anything and let him go. Little Jing Kong didn't have time to inform Jiao Jiao, so he planned to act first and report later. After all, it was just a game, so it didn't matter where they played. The three of them went to the imperial palace. Qin Chuyu's eunuch already knew what to do. He brought the little master and his little classmate into the imperial palace safely. The arrival of the Liang state's envoy didn't affect them much, but they weren't allowed to use the small bucket to paste the wall. The three of them had enough and didn't want to use it anymore. Qin Chuyu suddenly said, "Let's go feed the fish." A few days ago, the Eastern Palace bought a lot of koi fish. They are very fat. Little Jing Kong was a little sad when he mentioned this, because the piranha that Su Kanji gave him was eaten by Little Nine. This was a very sad story. Su Kanji didn't mind at all, and even comforted him. "You raised them for so long before eating them? Mine was eaten by the cat at home the next day." Little Jing Kong. Okay, Little Jing Kong felt less sad when he thought about how the fish lived in his house for a long time. The three of them went to the small pond in the Eastern Palace. At this time, the Crown Princess and Ming were also at the small pond. There were only two palace servants beside them. One was the Crown Princess's maid, and the other was Princess Yu's eunuch. Ming was no longer interested in fishing because the Crown Princess was telling him a story. The maid saw Qin Chuyu and whispered to the Crown Princess, "Master, His Highness is here." The eunuch didn't know Qin Chuyu, but he knew that there was an 8-year-old prince in the imperial palace of the Zhao state. His gaze wandered between Qin Chuyu and Su Kanji. They were about the same age and were both wearing the imperial college uniform, so he couldn't tell who was who. The Crown Princess turned her head and saw Qin Chuyu and his two classmates. She smiled and said, "Little Qi is here? Ha, you're Little Qi too?" Little Jing Kong tilted his head and looked at Qin Chuyu. Qin Chuyu explained, "I'm the 7th son in my family." Little Jing Kong widened his eyes and said, "What a coincidence. My chicken is the same." Qin Chuyu. He felt offended. "Are these the two friends you often talk to me about?" The Crown Princess's gentle gaze landed on Su Kanji and Little Jing Kong. Su Kanji had never seen such beautiful people, and was so shocked that she couldn't close her mouth. Little Jing Kong was very calm. He wasn't as beautiful as Jiao Jiao. Jiao Jiao was the most beautiful. The Crown Princess couldn't help but look at Little Jing Kong again. Qin Chuyu introduced his friends to her, and then introduced her to his friends. "She's my sister-in-law." He didn't say sister-in-law. Little Jing Kong and Su Kanji didn't wonder why Qin Chuyu's sister-in-law was in the imperial palace. Instead, another uninvited guest caught Qin Chuyu's attention. He pointed at Ming and asked, "Who is he?" The Crown Princess introduced him gently. "This is a young guest from the Liang Kingdom. You have to call him Brother Ming." They had learned several languages in the Imperial College, and knew that the world was divided into 6 countries, one of which was the Liang Kingdom. This was the advantage of studying in the capital. Their knowledge and experience couldn't be compared to those in the countryside. Ming was a little aloof. At first, she was not very willing to play with the three of them. However, the three of them were very interesting children. Ming was gradually attracted by their interactions. In the end, no one knew who called who first, but they played together. The 4 of them fed the fish, caught the fish, and played with the top. They even blindfolded themselves to catch the fish. The 3 of them had a lot of fun. Of course, Ming was also very happy. The Crown Princess showed a satisfied smile. The female official said, "His Highness is much more sensible than before. It seems that he has been teaching you well." The Crown Princess smiled and didn't say anything. She was having her period today and wasn't feeling well. She said to the female official, "I'm going to the washroom. Keep an eye on him." "Yes," the female official replied. But who would have thought that the 4 children would start fighting while she was in the washroom? To be exact, it was the 3 little kids who ganged up on Ming. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated more quickly. Millions of novels will be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that you can't find on the internet. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_896428226/113122470. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. Chapter 241. The latest chapter of the book is not finished yet. Please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated more quickly. Millions of novels will be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found online. The Crown Princess's perfect expression cracked. The story started from when the 4 of them blindfolded each other. This game was inspired by Ming. When he was in the state of Liang, he often saw his grandfather and concubines play this game, so he remembered it. The 4 of them played rock paper scissors to decide who would be the first to be blindfolded, and it was Qin Chiyu. After Qin Chiyu blindfolded himself, he started to catch people. Little Jing Kong and Su Tangsong didn't know the rules of the game, so they laughed out loud and were successfully caught by Qin Chiyu. Ming didn't get caught because the first person caught would start to count until 100. If the blindfolded person couldn't catch the other 3 people within 100, they would lose. The first person caught would be the blindfolded person for the next round. The second person was Su Tangsong. Qin Chiyu couldn't help but laugh out loud, and was successfully caught by Su Tangsong. Little Jing Kong was a wrestling kid. He fell and made a lot of noise, so he was successfully caught. Ming continued to win. This repeated several times, but Ming wasn't caught even once. Finally, it was little Jing Kong's turn to be blindfolded. He caught Ming first. Ming thought little Jing Kong was cheating. I didn't. Little Jing Kong pulled down the cloth and said seriously. Ming, then how did you know I was here? You made a sound. Little Jing Kong meant that he heard his voice. I didn't. Ming was confident that he didn't make any noise. Little Jing Kong was furious. You did. You did. You breathed out. You breathed out 5 times. 3 times and 1 light. Little Jing Kong practiced his basic skills every day. He could even hear the rustling of a leaf, so how could he not hear people's breathing? But Ming didn't believe it at all. He said arrogantly, you are cheating. Su Tangsong and Qin Chiyu stood on their good friend's side. Su Tangsong. Jing Kong is very smart. Qin Chiyu. Yes. He knows everything. If you don't believe me, test him. Just like that, the topic was diverted by the 2 protective teammates. The 2 of them started a recitation competition, from the 3-character classic to the 1,000-character classic, and from the 300 ancient poems to the 4 books and 5 classics. In the beginning, the 2 of them were on par with each other. However, as time went on, Ming gradually became exhausted while little Jing Kong was still at ease. Because the palace servants saw that they were just comparing notes and reciting books, they didn't think it was a big deal, so they didn't stop them in time. Little Jing Kong easily finished the sentence for the 3rd time. Ming suddenly lost his temper. He reached out his hand and pushed little Jing Kong to the ground. It was a grassland, so it did not hurt. Little Jing Kong was a little confused. Su Tsong could not stand it anymore. How dare you bully my friend? I'll make you walk on your knees today. Su Tangtang pounced over and punched Ming to the ground. The maid and eunuchs hurried forward to pull them apart, but they were too late. Little fatty Qin Chiyu also joined in the beating. Little Jing Kong was too small to squeeze in, so he hugged one of Ming's legs to prevent him from kicking Su Tangsong and Qin Chiyu. In short, the 3 little kids were very strong. When the 4 of them were separated, Ming-er's face was swollen. The 3 little kids were completely fine. Princess Yu had fallen asleep in the sun, so she didn't hear the commotion immediately. When she arrived, Ming-er's face was already swollen like a bun. The crown princess hurriedly explained the situation to Princess Consort Yu. She did not embellish or deliberately conceal anything. The crown princess thought that Princess Yu would be furious and avenge her son, but unexpectedly, she calmly said to the eunuchs, "Take Ming-er away to change his clothes." Yes. The eunuchs took Ming-er away. Princess Yu never punished servants in front of her son. Ming-er looked back at Princess Yu as he walked. But to his surprise, his mother didn't punish the little kids who bullied him. Instead, she squatted down in front of the youngest one and took out a handkerchief to wipe his face. He didn't hear what his mother said to the little kid, but his mother was very gentle to him, which made his heart ache. After such a big incident, the crown princess naturally had to strictly educate Qin Chuyu. Qin Chuyu used to be so timid, but now he knew how to sacrifice himself for his friends. If this matter spread to the emperor's ears, he would blame the crown prince and crown princess for not teaching their brother well. As for Su Tangtang, the minister of war was already scared out of his wits. He trembled as he entered the palace to take his grandson out. Only little Jing Kong was left. He didn't inform his family when he came, so no one came to pick him up. He drooped his little head and stared at his little toes gloomily. For a moment, he felt like he was abandoned by the whole world. He wanted to jiao. His nose was sore. Suddenly, a tall shadow enveloped him. "Are you crying?" A teasing and magnetic voice sounded above his head. "I'm not crying." As little Jing Kong spoke, he looked up and saw a handsome face. It was the face he saw at the courier station and himself. The most handsome uncle. Marquis Xianping hooked his little clothes with one finger and lifted the little guy up. Little Jing Kong landed firmly in his arms. The palace maids and eunuchs guarding little Jing Kong were stunned. They were just about to bow when Marquis Xianping raised his hand to stop them. They thought it was shocking enough that Marquis Xianping appeared here, but they didn't expect him to carry this troublesome little kid. This child was said to be a commoner's child, and his sister was just an ordinary female doctor. Was this lowly commoner worthy of Marquis Xianping's treatment? Little Jing Kong didn't feel wronged at first. He just missed his family and Gu Jiao a little. But after being carried into Marquis Xianping's arms, he suddenly felt wronged. There was a familiar aura on the handsome uncle, but he didn't know it was very similar to his bad brother-in-law's aura. This aura made him feel at ease. Being like Shi Yi made him feel wronged. He would only feel wronged in front of people who cared about him. He sat on Marquis Xianping's strong forearm, grabbed his clothes with his small hands, and lowered his eyes to prevent Marquis Xianping from seeing his red eyes. Marquis Xianping clicked his tongue. "Cry if you want." "Don't cry." He shook his head. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Marquis Xianping. Marquis Xianping carried him to the carriage. A palace maid said, "Marquis, the crown princess ordered us to wait for his family. Lord Su has already gone to inform him." Marquis Xianping cast a cold glance at her. The palace maid shivered and didn't dare to say anything. Marquis Xianping carried little Jing Kong and walked out of the palace. Marquis Xianping had Xiao Liulong's aura. It was the bloodline, the aura that came from his bones. Little Jing Kong also had Xiao Liulong's aura, but because they slept together every night, he was tainted with his aura. Marquis Xianping carried this little guy and felt at ease. Because they were the same person, they felt a little closer to each other. After getting on the carriage, Marquis Xianping asked the little guy what happened. Little Jing Kong didn't say anything. Marquis Xianping chuckled. "If you don't tell me, I won't help you hide it from your family later." Little Jing Kong was forced by a certain person's despotic power to tell the story of the beating. Marquis Xianping wasn't interested in the recitation part. He chose to be deaf, but the reason was very interesting. "You mean you can really hear people's breathing? How many times have I breathed now?" Little Jing Kong was silent for a while. After he breathed a few times, he said, 7 times, 6 light and 1 heavy. Marquis Xianping took a deep breath and narrowed his eyes at him. This little guy is a little interesting. While Marquis Xianping sent little Jing Kong home, Prince Yu also took his wife and son back to their residence. Ming-er was already asleep. Princess Yu was covering him with a blanket. "Is it that child?" Prince Yu suddenly asked. When he went to pick up his wife and son, he naturally saw the 3 children who ganged up on his son. One of them was a prince of Zhao country, one was the son of a minister, and the other was a commoner's child. He was 4 years old and looked very clean and cute. If he didn't stop her, his wife might have brought the child back on the spot. It's him. Princess Yu nodded while choking with sobs. You saw it too, right? He's our son. I've asked. He was born in Leu. Our son too. Prince Yu's firm heart suddenly wavered. That child was fair and cute, and he liked him at first sight. Could it be that the child really came back to life? It wasn't difficult to prove this point. He just had to go to the place where the child was buried and dig out the coffin. But this was a very difficult decision. However, in order to prove the child's identity, Prince Yu gritted his teeth and went. He came to a place with good feng shui that he had chosen, and ordered the guards to dig out the coffin. When the guards were about to open the coffin, he suddenly stopped them. Wait, Your Highness. The guards looked at him in confusion. Prince Yu said with a complicated expression, This prince will do it personally. He reached out and slowly touched the coffin. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. With a click, the coffin opened. Digression. Good morning, everyone. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/113121004. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuga mobile reading website. Chapter 242. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are novels with connotations that cannot be found online here. Princess Yu waited anxiously in the room. She paced back and forth, extremely nervous. On one hand, she felt that the child must be hers, but on the other hand, she was worried about what if it was not. After some time, the sky turned completely dark. Lanterns were hung on the corridor, and a few oil lamps were lit in the room. Footsteps came from outside the door. Princess Yu walked forward impatiently. Before she reached the door was pushed open and Prince Yu walked in. Princess Yu's expectant gaze landed on his face, and her voice trembled slightly. How is it? It's our child, right? Prince Yu's gaze was gentle, and he did not deny it immediately. Princess Yu's heart immediately calmed down. I knew it. I knew it. Our son did not die, he came back to life. He was saved by a kind person. Towards the end, she was so emotional that she covered her face and started crying. Ming-er was woken up by her. He opened his eyes and looked at her in a daze. Mother, what's wrong? Princess Yu wiped her tears, but they could not be stopped. They were not tears of sadness, but tears of joy. Ming. Princess Yu hugged Ming-er emotionally. Because she was too emotional, she hugged Ming-er a little too tightly, hurting him. I'm sorry. Princess Yu hurriedly let go of him. Everything happened so quickly that Princess Consort Yu still felt that it was unreal. As for whether she should hide it from Ming-er, Princess Consort Yu felt that it was better not to hide it. Ming-er was also her child. Even if she did not crawl out of her womb, she had endured hardships and raised her up with all her might. They were mother and son. This would not change no matter what. Of course, she was worried that Ming-er would not be able to accept it. After all, Ming-er was not an ordinary child. He looked easy to get along with, but he was very competitive and could not tolerate being inferior to others. Otherwise, he would suddenly become irritable, just like in the palace today. Princess Yu was not sure if Ming-er could accept that child who was smarter than him as his younger brother. After hesitating for a while, she still said it. Ming-er, you actually have a younger brother. Mother gave birth to him 4 years ago. Mother thought that he had passed away, until a few days ago, Mother met him again. Princess Yu tried her best to choose her tone and words so that Ming-er could understand and accept this fact. Ming-er only remembered that when she was 4 years old, Her parents went out for a year, but she didn't know what happened to them during that year. He has a younger brother. This was truly a miraculous thing. He was used to being the youngest son in the family. Now that he had suddenly become the elder brother, there was a huge difference in his mentality. This meant that from now on he was no longer the one who was held in the palm of others' hands. His younger brother was. No matter how his brothers and sisters gave in to him, he had to give in to his younger brother just like his brothers and sisters. His mother's embrace no longer belonged to him alone. His younger brother was even younger. Not only could he be carried by his mother, but he could also sleep with her. Anyway, he slept with his mother when he was 4 years old. Then who is your little brother? He asked nervously. Clearly, he already had some guesses in his heart. That heart-wrenching scene kept flashing through his mind. He desperately screamed in his heart, "No, no, it can't be him. You've seen him before." Prince Yu held Ming Er's face and said gently. The string in Ming Er's heart snapped. The 4-year-old little bean that he had seen in Zhao country, other than that hateful little dumpling, there was no one else. Why did it have to be him? Princess, you did not deliberately avoid the conflict between the two, she said firmly. Mother knows that there are some misunderstandings between the two of you, but you are a very good child. Mother believes that one day, he will discover your good points, and you will also discover his good points. These words were better said. If she blindly said, he will be a good younger brother, you will understand after spending some time together. Then Ming Er would be even more disgusted and jealous. But Princess, you spent a lot of time saying that after spending some time together, the other party would discover Ming Er's good points. This made Ming Er very happy. At least he didn't feel that his mother didn't love him, because he had a younger brother. However, he still couldn't get over it in his heart. How could he lose to a little bean? He was angry. On the other side, after Minister Su picked up his troublemaker grandson, he sent the manservant who usually took care of his grandson to the medical center to inform little Jing Kong's family. The manservant of the Su family didn't know where little Jing Kong's family was. He only knew that the three of them often played in the medical center. Little Jing Kong's sister seemed to be a female doctor in the medical center. The Su family manservant's horse was naturally not as fast as Marquis Xianping's horse. He was stopped halfway by Marquis Xianping. All right, you can go back, Marquis Xianping said lightly. The Su family manservant looked at Marquis Xianping, and then looked at little Jing Kong, who was sitting beside Marquis Xianping and holding snacks with both hands. He was so shocked that an egg could be stuffed into his mouth. What was going on? Yes. Did the Crown Princess ask Marquis Xianping to handle this matter personally? The Su family manservant didn't dare to guess that little Jing Kong's family was related to Marquis Xianping. Compared to this, he would rather believe that the Eastern Palace asked Marquis Xianping to teach this child's family a lesson. But wasn't this child too careless? He dared to eat beside Marquis Xianping? Not only did little Jing Kong eat, but he also habitually put his mouth over. Wipe it. Just when the Su family manservant thought that Marquis Xianping would definitely slap him, he saw Marquis Xianping carelessly pick up a clean white handkerchief and carelessly wipe little Jing Kong's mouth. The Su family manservant thought, am I stupid or blind? After little Jing Kong finished eating, he burped and swayed his short legs. He looked very cute. When Marquis Xianping was young, he was either fighting outside or training in the military camp all year round. He didn't have much time to accompany his son. But when he wasn't paying attention, all of them had secretly grown up. After people spent a long time with each other, they would easily be influenced by each other's aura, and even get used to it. Little Jing Kong naturally had some of Xiao Liulong's habits, such as his expression when he frowned and his disdainful sneer. But these were Xiao Liulong's habits, not Xiao Heng's. Xiao Lulang didn't have Xiao Heng's shadow, not even a little bit. Marquis Xianping couldn't help but wonder if he was thinking too much. Xiao Lulang was the illegitimate son of him and Chen Yun's mother, not Xiao Heng, not his legitimate son. Marquis Xianping's thoughts drifted away. Suddenly, a small head bumped into him. Little Jing Kong had fallen asleep. Marquis Xianping went directly to the Imperial College. He waited outside for a long time until Xiao Lulang came out. He carried the sleeping little Jing Kong out of the carriage. He had already thought about it. In a while, he would tell Xiao Lulang that his brother-in-law had a good aptitude, and he planned to take him as his disciple. In this way, he could successfully enter the enemy's, a son's inner circle. Whether he was a legitimate son or an illegitimate son, he would be exposed after a long time. But unexpectedly, Xiao Lulang just gave Marquis Xianping a cold look. Without saying a word, he carried little Jing Kong and left. He didn't even give Marquis Xianping a chance to act shamelessly. Marquis Xianping was so angry that his teeth itched. With my bad temper, if I find out that you're not the illegitimate son, I will really chop you up. Marquis Xianping looked gentle, but like most generals, he had a bad temper. If he was really an illegitimate son, to be honest, he really didn't care whether he recognized him or not. Humph. Marquis Xianping got out of the carriage with a dark face. The next day, the Liang Kingdom's envoy suddenly stopped the negotiations and said that they would rest for a day and continue the negotiations the next day. The ministers of Zhao Kingdom were very surprised, but when they thought of how Prince Yu's son was beaten up by the seventh prince and his classmate, they understood. Prince Yu was angry. The ministers really misunderstood Prince Yu. He knew what kind of character his son was. He was the one who attacked first. No wonder he was beaten up. Prince Yu didn't go to the negotiations because he accompanied Princess Yu to the medical center. Be polite to her later, she adopted our son. Er's illness was also cured by her. Before getting off the carriage, Princess Yu didn't forget to remind Prince Yu. Prince Yu nodded repeatedly. I'll remember what you said. Don't worry, I won't bully a little girl. Princess Yu thought about it and still wasn't assured, so she reminded him. You're also not allowed to give her attitude. Okay. Prince Yu agreed helplessly. But there's something I have to tell you. What is it? Princess Yu looked at him. Prince Yu said, if we say that Jing Kong is our son, I'm afraid they won't believe us. After all, we don't have any conclusive evidence. Why don't we say that we adopted him first? Princess Yu felt that there was no need to go through so much trouble. Her son was hers. What evidence did she need? She was the Princess Yu of Liang Kingdom. How could she lie? Prince Yu said, listen to me, this is not the Liang Kingdom. The relationship between the two sides is already tense, so it's not easy for us to win their trust. Princess Yu saw that he was serious and hesitated for a moment before nodding. Okay, I'll listen to you. When we return to the Liang Kingdom, Prince Yu hurriedly said, immediately announce to the world that you're my son, on the genealogy, on the jade butterfly. Also, bring him to meet the emperor. Only then did Princess Yu smile. The two of them entered the medical hall. The second master greeted Princess Yu. Seeing that she didn't bring that snobbish attendant, he warmly cupped his hands. Madam, you're here. This is my husband. Princess Yu warmly introduced. The second master bowed to her, looked behind them and asked, your son didn't come? How's his condition? Is he better? Princess Yu nodded. Much better, he doesn't cough much anymore. He's at home. May I ask, is Miss Gu here? The second master said. Yes, she should be done soon. Please wait for a moment, I'll go take a look. Gu Jiao was giving Jiang Shuren 4 drip in his ward. When she heard the second master say that the noble madam was here, Gu Jiao thought about who it was. The second master said, her son is 10 years old, the one who coughs badly. She came here with her husband, and I suppose they are here to thank you as before. It wasn't that the second master hadn't encountered such a situation before, so he was already very calm. Gu Jiao also thought that the other party was here to thank her, but when she saw them, she realized that they were here to snatch him away. Since Princess Yu wanted to find a place to talk, Gu Jiao brought her to her small courtyard. At this moment, the three of them sat in the reception hall of the small courtyard, and the atmosphere was terrifyingly quiet. Prince Yu had seen countless people, and wasn't someone who judged people by their appearance. He didn't care about Gu Jiao's appearance, but he vaguely felt that this little girl's aura was different from her peers. Princess Yu broke the awkwardness. Miss Gu, I know that I'm a little abrupt, but I really hope to meet your parents and discuss with them about little Jing Kong. We sincerely want to adopt little Jing Kong as our son. Gu Jiao asked, you don't want to take him away? Princess Yu choked. We want to take him back. Gu Jiao didn't even ask where they wanted to take him back, and flatly refused. Impossible. Princess Yu's face turned pale. Miss Gu Jiao interrupted her. There's no room for discussion. I won't send Jing Kong away. If you really like him, and he likes you, you can come and see him. Yes, the premise was that little Jing Kong had to like them. She wouldn't mistreat little Jing Kong. If there's nothing else, please leave. Gu Jiao ordered them to leave. Prince Yu was stunned and did not interrupt for a moment. It was only when Gu Jiao stood up to leave that he stopped and asked, Aren't you going to ask who we are? Gu Jiao looked at him coldly. No one can think about it. Miss Gu. Princess Consort Yu stood up, and Prince Yu could not stop her even if he wanted to. She took a few steps forward and said to Gu Jiao, Jing Kong is our son. We are his parents. Gu Jiao paused and turned back. Are the people who left him in the temple worthy of being his parents? Princess Yu was so anxious that tears came out of her eyes. It's not like that. Miss Gu, let me explain. I never thought of leaving him. We thought he died. Is that so? Gu Jiao's gaze fell on Prince Yu's face. This woman didn't seem to be faking it, but the man's expression was very calm from beginning to end. Prince Yu calmly met Gu Jiao's gaze, but Princess Consort Yu was too excited and fainted before she could catch her breath. Prince Yu quickly supported her. Gu Jiao pulled her hand over, checked her pulse, and let go of her hand. It was nothing serious, and she wasn't faking it. She really fainted. Prince Yu hugged his wife in his arms, no longer showing the gentleness he forced in front of his wife. He looked at Gu Jiao. How much do you want? Name a price. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Girl, you're still young and don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. No one in the capital can protect the person I want. Gu Jiao. Then you can try. Prince Yu looked at Gu Jiao coldly, and left the medical center with his wife in his arms. That night, Prince Yu's confidant went to the palace and conveyed his prince's intentions to the emperor. The Liang state could compromise on the terms of the peace talks, but the condition was that child. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_8964286/113097146. HTML Genius remembered this site's address in a second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikuga mobile reading website. Chapter 243. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. When the news reached the Imperial Palace, the emperor was in the imperial study discussing the peace talks between the two countries with several ministers. Zhao and Chen had fought many battles and suffered a great loss. After a few years, the treasury was still half empty. Liang was so powerful that they didn't care about Zhao at all. In this peace talk, Liang's attitude was unyielding and there was no room for compromise. The emperor and the ministers were so worried that their hair was about to turn white. But suddenly, Prince Yu sent someone to say that Liang could compromise on the condition of a child? What child? The emperor asked. The minister said, It's an orphan. My prince and princess consort hit it off with that child and want to adopt him. In return, my prince will try his best to make concessions in the peace talks. How much? Grand Tutor Zhuang asked. The trusted official smiled and took out a list from his wide sleeve. Eunuch Wei walked forward and took the list. After confirming that it wasn't poisonous and had no hidden weapons, he presented it to the emperor. After the emperor looked at it, he gave it to Grand Tutor Zhuang and the others. Grand Tutor Zhuang, Grand Tutor Yuan, and the old ministers all stared at it. They couldn't believe it. The original terms of the negotiations were that Liang would exchange its lime mortar technology for Zhao's bellows technology and glutinous rice mortar technology. They would also open a trade at the border between the two countries and exchange Liang's cheap handicrafts for Zhao's high-quality silk and tea leaves. Now there was a colored glaze technology. Colored glaze was Liang's unique handicraft. It was exquisite and hard to find. In the 6 countries, only the imperial family had the right to use colored glaze. As for a poor country like Zhao, they couldn't afford it at all. The temptation of this technology was huge. At least they could see Liang's sincerity. It was rumored that Yan also coveted Liang's colored glaze technology, but was rejected by Liang. Yan was a superior country, and its status wasn't below Liang's. Liang didn't pass on the technology to them, but passed it on to Zhao. If this news spread, Yan might be offended. Did Prince Yu know what he was doing? Did he think he could do whatever he wanted just because he was the son of Liang's king? Could it be a trap? An old official asked. The trusted minister laughed sarcastically. My prince's words carry enormous weight. Why would he need to play tricks with you? Are you even worthy? This was like an elephant wanting to crush a bug. All it needed to do was to stomp on it. Was there a need to jump up and down to confuse it, make it dizzy, and let its guard down? Everyone thought it made sense. But, just for a child? Everyone could not understand Prince Yu's confusing behavior. The emperor also did not understand. He was not in a hurry to agree. He faintly felt that things were not simple. He let the officials return first and left the trusted officials of the state of Liang for questioning. Why would Prince Yu take a fancy to the orphans of Zhao country? The emperor opened the window and said a few words. The envoy of the Liang kingdom was not afraid that the emperor would demand an exorbitant price after learning the truth. After all, the emperor of the Ren Zhao kingdom was not easily fooled. He repeated the words that Prince Yu had given him. Does your majesty still remember the visit of Prince Yu and his Wang Fei 5 years ago? The emperor nodded. Of course I remember. The emperor said. At that time, Wang Fei Yu was pregnant. She stayed in the state of Zhao for several months, and did not leave until she gave birth. It is said that the child died prematurely. When I heard it, I was very distressed. As the emperor spoke, his brow furrowed. Is this matter related to that child? The envoy of the state of Liang smiled. My Wang Ye accidentally discovered that the child did not die. That year he might have been rescued from the coffin. Considering that your state of Zhao had raised the Wang Ye's son for many years, in return, my Wang Ye made concessions in the peace talks. If it was like this, then everything made sense. The emperor nodded. Soon he asked with suspicion. Is it really the son of Prince Yu? The envoy of the state of Liang said. Is it possible that my Wang Ye would pay such a high price for a fake son? The emperor also felt that it was not possible. He asked again, where is the child now? The envoy of the state of Liang smiled. He was adopted by a young female doctor at a medical hall. Hearing the words medical hall, a faint sense of unease rose in the emperor's heart. Which medical hall? The return of Spring Hall? The envoy of the state of Liang smiled. Ah no, it's the miracle hall. The emperor's expression changed. After 2 classes in the afternoon, little Jing Kong was released from school. Gu Jiao went to the Imperial College to pick him up. Little Jing Kong thought that Uncle Lu was coming to pick him up. He sighed and walked slowly. When he reached the door, he realized that it was Gu Jiao. He instantly felt that he had missed out on 1,000,000 yuan. If he had known earlier, he would have run faster. It was rare for him to spend so much time with Jiao Jiao. Jiao 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 Jiao. He ran towards Gu Jiao with his short legs. Gu Jiao bent down slightly and wiped the sweat on little Jing Kong's forehead with a handkerchief. Recently, the temperature difference was huge. It was very cold in the mornings, so he wore a little too much when he went out. But in the afternoon, the sun was shining brightly, and the little guy was sweating profusely. Gu Jiao touched his back. Fine, his underwear was drenched. Did you have a race this afternoon? Gu Jiao asked. No, there was no race. Little Jing Kong shook his head. The teacher taught us how to play kuju. Was it fun? Gu Jiao asked. It was fun. It was little Jing Kong's first time playing, so he found it very novel. Some people played it better than me. They have played it before. Little Jing Kong was not a competitive child. It was normal for him to win first place. If he did not win, he would not be depressed for too long. Especially when it came to fields that he had not dabbled in. He usually learned with an open mind. This was also the reason why, even though he and Xiao Lulang were clearly at odds with each other, the knowledge Xiao Lulang taught him would still be absorbed like a sponge. Gu Jiao took little Jing Kong directly to the medical center. Miss Gu, the patient is here. Xiao Sanzi came to the courtyard and urged Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao had just found little Jing Kong's clothes. Little Jing Kong said obediently, Jiao Jiao, you go ahead. I can change my clothes by myself. Gu Jiao said, it may take a while. Little Jing Kong patted his small chest. It's okay. I can take care of myself. I will do my homework after I change my clothes. How could there be such an obedient child? Gu Jiao smiled and touched his little head. Okay. There are snacks on the table. Eat first if you are hungry. Little Jing Kong said cutely. I will wait for Jiao Jiao to eat together. This child. Gu Jiao's heart melted from his cuteness. Gu Jiao went to the medical center. She really thought it was a patient, but unexpectedly it was Eunuch Wei who served the emperor. Eunuch Wei already knew that the emperor was a prostitute, but he didn't know that Gu Jiao also guessed that the emperor was a prostitute in the county. Of course, Gu Jiao would not say it out. Eunuch Wei smiled embarrassedly. Miss Gu, I came here today because I have something to confirm with you. Gu Jiao looked at him. What's the matter? Eunuch Wei laughed dryly. You are the only female doctor in your medical center? Yes. Gu Jiao nodded. Eunuch Wei cursed inwardly. It was over. His Majesty's guess had come true. What he was afraid of had come true. Prince Yu could have taken anyone's child, but why did he have to take the little divine doctor's head? Why do you ask this? Gu Jiao noticed that Eunuch Wei's expression was not right. Eunuch Wei sighed helplessly. Miss Gu Yu, you are in trouble. Eunuch Wei told Gu Jiao the whole story of Prince Yu asking the emperor for his son. There was nothing to add. The matter was too big, and there was nothing to add. Gu Jiao suddenly realized. Oh! No wonder his tone was so big, saying that the entire capital could not protect her. It turned out that he was the prince of Liang country. Eunuch Wei said sincerely, His Majesty is also in a difficult position. It is not that he covets the conditions he offered, but it is natural for father and son to recognize each other. He can't stop him from bringing his own son back. Miss Gu, don't you think this is reasonable? Gu Jiao's eyes turned cold. Is it his son just because he said so? Eunuch Wei said. Isn't it obvious? With Prince Yu's status, it was not wrong to call a deer a horse, not to mention recognizing a son. There was no need for evidence for this kind of thing. The terms that he offered for peace talks were the strongest evidence. From the civil and military officials of the court to the people of Zhao country, there was probably no one who would not believe and agree. This was the benefit of having absolute power. No matter how powerful a person was, he was still an individual. Prince Yu had a strong country behind him. Eunuch Wei sighed. Miss Gu, don't blame His Majesty. His Majesty has no choice. He can't stop the father from bringing his son back. I know. Gu Jiao nodded slightly. She stood up and did not say anything. She opened the door of the consultation room and walked out. Little Jing Kong had changed into a set of clean clothes. He was sitting at the small wooden table in the courtyard and doing his homework. His small body sat upright, and his expression was extremely serious. There was a box of freshly baked desserts on the table. The aroma filled the whole courtyard. It was his favorite date paste osmanthus cake. But he did not eat a single bite. He wanted to wait for Jiao Jiao to eat it together. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all the novels that you can't find on the internet. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_89642/113095352. HTML Genius remembered the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikuga mobile reading website. Chapter 244. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. Ever since the old Marquis returned, Gu Qingfeng hadn't gone out to stir up trouble for a while. Today, the old Marquis went out to meet with friends. Gu Qingfeng also took the opportunity to go out and take on a small task to save up the money that Gu Qinglin had squandered away. The new mask that he had ordered last time was robbed by Gu Jiao, so he found someone to make a new one. The half-face mask with peacock feathers and obsidian was eye-catching and coquettish. Gu Qingfeng was very satisfied with the new mask. Today was another happy day. Just as Gu Qingfeng raised his hand to put on the mask in front of the bronze mirror, a small black shadow suddenly appeared in the mirror. Gu Qingfeng was so scared that his hair stood on end. Ah! The small black shadow looked at the eye-catching new mask and hooked the corners of its lips into an evil smile. Nyahilu Gu Jiao snatched the peacock mask, threw away the old mask on her face, and tried on her new mask. Oh, it looks good. Gu Jiao was very satisfied. Gu Qingfeng, of course it looks good. She didn't even think about how much money he spent to make it. What are you doing here? Gu Qingfeng looked at Gu Jiao with disdain. This girl was getting more and more ridiculous. What did she think his courtyard was? A vegetable garden? She came and went. Gu Jiao looked in the mirror, admiring her new mask as she said, "Didn't you want to take on a job? I'll give you one." Gu Qingfeng remembered the last time he risked his life to barge into the tribute court to exchange test papers for her. In the end, he only received 1 copper coin. He laughed and said, "Not interested." The pay is very high. Gu Jiao looked at him from the bronze mirror. "Ha ha ha, as if I'd believe you." Gu Qingfeng rolled his eyes. "Still not interested." Gu Jiao thought seriously and took out a banknote. Gu Qingfeng narrowed his eyes. He was a bit surprised and tempted, but said calmly, 100 taels is not enough. Gu Jiao took out another banknote. Gu Qingfeng extended 5 fingers. "At least this much." "Okay." Gu Jiao cooperated and took out 3 banknotes. Why was this girl so easy to talk to? Gu Qingfeng, who had been squeezed into a habit, simply couldn't believe that this was real. He held the banknotes in his hands and looked at them over and over again. After confirming that the banknotes were not fake, he looked at her strangely. "You're not asking me to kill people, are you?" Gu Jiao tilted her head and looked at him. Can I?" Gu Qingfeng exploded. "Of course not. He was a bandit, not a bandit. He only stole things and didn't kill people. Of course, if someone wanted to kill him, it would be a different story." In short, he did not accept assassination missions. Gu Jiao shrugged. "That's great." Gu Qingfeng was even more worried now. He had a feeling that nothing good would come out of meeting this girl. "So what exactly do you want?" Gu Jiao. "I want to steal something." When Prince Yu came, he did not mention what had happened. It was Eunuch Wei who mentioned it when he came over. Prince Yu's consort gave birth to a child, but the child died not long after. Prince Yu then found a coffin to bury the child. Eunuch Wei said that there were 2 theories at the time. One was that the child died after being born, and the other was that she gave birth to a stillborn child. After all, it was a sad matter and not many people knew about it. Only a few people in the imperial family knew about it. Gu Qingfeng was thoughtful. So what they mean is, the child did not actually die. After being buried, he cried and was heard by a kind person who was passing by and dug up the child. "That child is your younger brother? That little monk? Who is the person who wants to adopt him?" Gu Jiao calmly said, "Prince Yu and his wife." Gu Qingfeng sucked in a breath of cold air. He knew that nothing good would come out of meeting this girl. He even stole from the prince of the Liang kingdom. Was he going to become an international bandit in a second? Gu Jiao looked at him sternly. A bandit who does not want to be an international bandit is not a good bandit. Gu Qingfeng. "I don't want to do it. It was too dangerous. If he was discovered, he would lose his life." At another 500 taels, Gu Jiao paused and said, "In addition to curing your younger brother's baldness." Gu Qingfeng. Ever since little Jing Kong shaved half of Gu Qinglin's head, that half of Gu Qinglin's hair stopped growing. At first, in order to achieve the same effect, he shaved off the other half, but the other half grew by half an inch. The half shaved by little Jing Kong was still barren. This was a King consecrated hand. Gu Qingfeng gritted his teeth and agreed. The two sneaked out of the Marquis's residence. Actually, Gu Qingfeng was still a little afraid of this matter. Along the way, he thought of countless ways, such as letting Gu Jiao beg the old Marquis, and then the old Marquis would beg the Emperor. But on second thought, Prince Yu's attitude was too strong. Letting the Emperor offend the Liang Kingdom for an orphan was not a good deal. Zhao Kingdom could not afford to offend the Liang Kingdom. Even if they had better technology and did not want the Liang Kingdom's technology, they could not tell the Liang Kingdom. Zhao Kingdom could not be too high profile, or else it would only be the Liang Kingdom that came to cut their fat meat. If the matter got out of hand, the Jin and Yin kingdoms might come too. This matter could only be started with Prince Yu. But how could it be easy to make Prince Yu give up the idea of acknowledging his son? He even took out the glazing technology, which showed how determined he was. The two walked on the roof. Gu Qingfeng suddenly looked at Gu Jiao. Hey, I say, you really don't want to consider sending that little guy away? That little guy was really annoying. If his younger brother was like that little guy, he would have gone crazy. Gu Jiao glared at him. Shut up if you don't want me to kick you out of here. Gu Qingfeng bitterly shut his mouth. The two's goal tonight was very clear, which was to find the place where the child's bones were buried, and see if the bones were still there. If they were, it would prove that little Jing Kong was not Prince Yu and his wife's son. The two arrived outside the walls of the Imperial Garden. Gu Jiao gave Gu Qingfeng a look. Go in. Gu Qingfeng clenched his fists. Why was he always the one to do such dangerous things? Gu Jiao would not go in. Gu Jiao pouted at him. Gu Qingfeng gritted his teeth and climbed over the wall. The Imperial Gardens were heavily guarded, and Prince Yu's courtyard was surrounded by many hidden guards from the Liang Kingdom. However, Gu Qingfeng still managed to sneak into Prince Yu and his wife's courtyard with his excellent qinggong and many years of experience. After about half an hour he came out. How is it? Gu Jiao looked at him. Gu Qingfeng wiped the sweat from his forehead. It's on the eastern grassy slope in the south of the city. Gu Jiao coldly said, lead the way. Gu Qingfeng speechlessly glanced at her. You're not going to ask me how I found out? I'm not going to ask. Gu Qingfeng, who wanted to show off. He would tell her even if she didn't ask. The more she didn't want to hear, the more he wanted to talk. I went to check the soles of Prince Yu's shoes. Prince Yu must be like us. To prove the child's identity, the first thing we have to do is investigate the place where the bones were buried. I found yellow clay and red moss under the soles of the shoes of Prince Yu and his two guards. You've seen a lot of green moss, but rarely red moss. Other than that, there are also pine needles. The only place that fits this landform is the eastern grassy slope in the south of the city. Gu Jiao. Oh, aren't you surprised by this young master's intelligence? Horsegrass slope wasn't too far away, and the two of them were fast. They arrived in just over an hour. Prince Yu probably didn't want anyone to find this place, so he purposely destroyed all traces of the scene before leaving. However, this couldn't escape Gu Jiao and Gu Qingfeng's eyes. The two of them quickly found some clues. It should be around here. Gu Qingfeng looked around as he spoke. Generally speaking, the color of the ground that had been moved would be different from the nearby ground. It was very easy to distinguish, but when they looked around, they didn't see any difference. Suddenly, Gu Jiao's gaze fell on a pile of shrubbery. She walked over and pushed the shrubbery aside, revealing a large stone inside. Move the stone away, Gu Jiao said. Gu Qingfeng walked over and used all his strength to move the stone away. It was obvious that there was new soil under the stone. It was darker and moister than the nearby soil. Gu Jiao held the lantern and took out a small shovel from the small basket on her back. She threw it to him. Dig. Gu Qingfeng. Did he come here to do manual labor? Gu Qingfeng sweated profusely as he dug for a quarter of an hour before he finally dug out a small coffin. Gu Qingfeng looked at the coffin and hopped back to the ground. Dig, dig, dig. I dug it out, you do it. Gu Jiao cast a sidelong glance at him. You're afraid of ghosts? Gu Qingfeng confidently said. Who said I'm afraid of ghosts? I'm just tired. I can't do all the work by myself. A grown man still afraid of ghosts, he. Gu Jiao jumped down and used her dagger to pry open the nails of the coffin one by one. When she reached the last nail, Gu Jiao hid behind Gu Qingfeng. Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao opened the coffin and looked inside. She said to Gu Qingfeng, look. Gu Qingfeng turned his face away. I won't look. No look. I won't look. I won't look. I won't look even if I die. Gu Jiao grabbed him from behind and forced him to look at the coffin. Gu Qingfeng only took one look and was stunned. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_826/113065354. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. Chapter 245. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found online are all available here. Gu Jiao and Gu Qingfeng were busy the whole night. Gu Jiao only let him go when the sun was about to rise. Gu Qingfeng worked hard and was scared the whole night. He was tortured to the point that his eyes were not his eyes and his nose was not his nose. But when he thought of the 1,000 taels he earned, he felt that it was worth it. Right, he still hadn't told third brother that his baldness could be cured. Gu Qingfeng was tired but excited as he returned to the mansion. Gu Qinglin still lived in his courtyard. He didn't bother to change his clothes and strode to Gu Qinglin's room. Third brother. He was just about to knock on the door when he heard the door creak open from the inside. Gu Qinglin was wearing a hat. He looked at Gu Qingfeng with a startled expression. Second brother? So early? Gu Qingfeng frowned. Why are you so early? Gu Qinglin cleared his throat. I'm going to the clinic. Gu Qingfeng. Why are you going to the clinic? Gu Qinglin, cure hair growth. He didn't say the word baldness no matter what. Gu Qingfeng frowned strangely. That's not right. He didn't seem to have told third brother about curing baldness. How did third brother know? Could it be that the two brothers have telepathy? Gu Qinglin said, Second brother, I'm leaving. You're leaving just like that? No more instructions? Gu Qinglin didn't understand what he meant and thought that he was worried about him. He thought about it and said, Don't worry about the money. I've already given it. Gu Qingfeng was puzzled. Gave it to who? How much did you give? Gu Qingfeng curled his lips. Who else could it be? That girl, 1,200 taels. Wait, this number was a bit familiar. Gu Qingfeng looked at him suspiciously. Where did you get 1,200 taels? Gu Qinglin said. Oh, you took it from your room. Gu Qingfeng almost spat out a mouthful of blood. That was all he had, idiot. He thought that he had earned 1,000 taels. But in the end he lost 200 taels. He really wanted to die. Having cheated Gu Jiao of a new mask and 200 taels of silver, Gu Jiao returned to Jadewater Alley in satisfaction. Inside the kitchen, Nanny Fong was already busy cooking. After Madame Yao and senior servant Fong moved in, Gu Jiao had a lot less work to do. She saved time to make breakfast, so she could exercise by herself or practice martial arts with little Jing Kong. Xiao Lulang had to attend the morning classes at the Imperial College, so he left before dawn. Little Jing Kong was practicing in the backyard. Gu Jiao practiced with him for a while. Her body was much more flexible than when she first arrived. She could do a split with ease. There were no classes at Qinghe Academy today, so Gu Yan and Gu Shaoshan were both sleeping in their rooms. Gu Jiao did not wake the two up. After eating breakfast with Yao Shi and little Jing Kong, she sent little Jing Kong to the Imperial College. When she walked into the alley, she ran into Master Zhao's eldest daughter-in-law, Madame He, and his grandson, Zhao Xiaobao. Madame He chased after Zhao Xiaobao all over the courtyard to feed him. Xiaobao. Little Jing Kong passed by the door and greeted him. Brother Jing Kong. Zhao Xiaobao greeted him, and then ran away to hide from his mother. Gu Jiao had never mentioned this topic to little Jing Kong before, because she felt it was a bit sensitive. However, the arrival of Prince Yu and his wife made her have to pay attention to this issue. Jing Kong. Jiao Jiao? Little Jing Kong looked up at her cutely. Gu Jiao asked, "Do you want to have parents?" Little Jing Kong said, "Jing Kong has parents. Jiao Jiao's parents are Jing Kong's parents." Gu Jiao paused. "I mean your parents, your biological parents." Little Jing Kong stopped and looked at Gu Jiao with hurt. "Jiao Jiao doesn't want me anymore?" This sentence made Gu Jiao's heart feel as if it was pierced by something. She was too abrupt and forgot that he was actually a sensitive and fragile little guy. Gu Jiao patted his little head. "How could that be? You are so cute, I can't wait to like you." "I knew it." Little Jing Kong jumped up and down happily. After sending him to the Imperial College, Gu Jiao did not go to the medical center, but went to the Imperial Garden. Today, Prince Yu still did not enter the palace. He stayed in the garden to accompany Princess Yu. Princess Yu thought that she would be able to bring her son back soon, and was so excited that she did not sleep the whole night. She made a pair of shoes for her son overnight. She was a princess, and this kind of thing was left to the servants to do. Therefore, she was not familiar with the craftsmanship, and the shoes she made were not very good. She held the ugly shoes and asked her husband shyly and happily, "Your Highness, do you think he will like it?" Prince Yu looked at the shoes in his wife's hand. "You made it very well. He will like it. He is a sensible child." "I mean us." Princess Yu looked at him nervously. "We have not been by his side for so many years. What if he doesn't like us? What if he is not willing to go back with us?" Prince Yu held his wife's hand, his eyes deep. "Don't worry, we will definitely bring him back." Princess Yu's heart sank back into her stomach. "I want to build a small courtyard for him. He is still young and can sleep with us for the time being. But he should have his own courtyard and not be looked down upon. Can you build your sword practice platform later?" Princess Yu chattered on, her eyes full of longing for bringing her son back to the Liang Kingdom. Prince Yu looked at her quietly and responded from time to time. Suddenly, a servant came to report, "Your Highness, Princess Yu, there is a person outside who claims to be Miss Gu." "Miss Gu? Is she a sister from Jing Kong? Did you tell her who we are?" Princess Yu fainted from excitement yesterday. When she woke up, she had already returned to the garden. She knew that Prince Yu and Gu Jiao must have talked about something, because her husband assured her that everything was settled. Prince Yu frowned slightly. He did not reveal his identity. After a quarter of an hour, Gu Jiao appeared in the reception pavilion. Prince Yu looked at Gu Jiao. This time, there was an additional look of inquiry and scrutiny in his eyes. He realized that even though Gu Jiao's face was damaged, she did not show any signs of weakness. Her actions were calm and natural, not at all like a lowly female doctor. Princess Yu had a good impression of Gu Jiao. She smiled and went up to her. "Miss Gu, you have come so early. Have you not eaten yet? I will get someone to set the table." "No need, I have already eaten." Gu Jiao flatly refused. "I am here today, because I have something to say to you." She glanced at the couple. "You cannot take Jing Kong away." Princess Yu was stunned. "Why? Is it because Jing Kong does not agree?" Gu Jiao said bluntly, "He does not agree, and I do not agree." Prince Yu said coldly, "I am afraid that this matter is not up to you to decide. The Emperor of Zhao country will make his own decision." Princess Yu saw that the two were about to quarrel, so she quickly stood between them and said to Prince Yu, "Speak properly." She then said to Gu Jiao, "Miss Gu, don't be angry. It is our fault for not giving you enough time to prepare. If Jing Kong does not agree, I can wait for him. I will stay in the capital. I will bring him back when he agrees. If you really cannot bear to leave Jing Kong, and if you are willing, Prince Yu's residence welcomes you at any time. I will treat you as my own daughter. This was the biggest concession that Princess Yu could make. She could wait. If her son did not agree for a day, she would wait for a day. If her son did not agree for a year, she would wait for a year. But she would not give up. Because that was her son, and she was a mother. Gu Jiao paused, then looked at Princess Yu and said, "You do not have to wait." Princess Yu's eyes lit up. "You agree?" Gu Jiao shook her head. As if realizing what Gu Jiao was about to say, Prince Yu's expression changed and he said sternly, "Shut up." How could Gu Jiao be frightened by him? Gu Jiao said to Princess Yu, "Jing Kong is not your son, so you do not have to wait." Princess Yu hurriedly shook her head. "No, he is my son." "He is. Isn't he 4 years old? Wasn't he born in December? My son is the same. Also, I like him so much when I see him. He can't not be my son." Like was a kind of affinity, but it could also be a projection of one's heart. Gu Jiao looked steadily into Princess Yu's eyes, without a trace of avoidance. Princess Yu's heart sank. Prince Yu hurriedly stepped forward, shielding Princess Yu behind him, blocking the line of sight between the two. His unfriendly gaze fell on Gu Jiao's face. "What nonsense are you talking about? He is the son of this prince and my princess. If he is your son, then what is this?" As Gu Jiao spoke, she took out an old swaddling cloth wrapped in something from the small basket on her back. Prince Yu's expression changed. His gaze turned from unfriendly to extremely sharp, and the veins on his forehead bulged. He raised his hand to grab Gu Jiao, trying to snatch the swaddling cloth away. However, he had never expected that he, a military general of his country, would actually come up empty-handed. Gu Jiao's movements were extremely fast. Not only did she dodge Prince Yu's attack, she also circled in front of Princess Yu. "Princess, you are not unfamiliar with this swaddling cloth, right?" Princess Yu was stunned. Of course, she was not unfamiliar with this swaddling cloth. She had personally chosen it for the child in her womb. She had even asked an embroiderer to embroider 2 small flowers on the swaddling cloth. In her dreams at night, she had dreamed countless times of the child who had died young being wrapped in this swaddling cloth. However, the color of the swaddling cloth in front of her had faded, and it was also dusty and damaged. Princess Yu's expression immediately tensed up. "Miss Gu, where did this swaddling cloth come from? Inside is..." Before Princess Yu could finish speaking, Prince Yu stepped in front of her, blocking her behind him. He gritted his teeth and said to Gu Jiao, "Don't think that you can fake it here just because you made a fake swaddling cloth. There are many of these swaddling clothes in the entire Zhao country. What are you trying to say?" Gu Jiao said indifferently, "There are indeed many swaddling clothes like this in the entire Zhao country, but there is only one buried in Matsapa. Since you think that I am faking it, fine, I will burn it." As she spoke, she turned her finger and poured the oil from the lamp on the table onto the swaddling cloth. Then, with a flick of a match, she threw the swaddling cloth into the courtyard of the flower hall. The swaddling cloth caught fire with a whoosh. Prince Yu's expression changed drastically. Actually, when he heard about Matsapa, he could not hold it in any longer. However, he told himself to remain calm and not fall for this girl's trick. Who would have thought that this girl would be so ruthless that she would not even let go of the skeleton of an infant? Amidst the raging flames, a piece of white bone was revealed. Prince Yu could no longer pretend to be calm. He flew up and tore apart the swaddling cloth that was on fire, revealing the small skeleton wrapped in swaddling cloth. The skeleton fell to the ground and broke into pieces. Prince Yu's entire face was twisted in anger and pain. He did not bother to find trouble with Gu Jiao. He took off his clothes to wrap up the skeleton, but when he touched it, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. Wait, this was not a real bone. It was wood. That's right, this was the result of Gu Jiao and Gu Qingfeng's hard work for an entire night. Although the two's craftsmanship was not as good as Gu Xiaoshuan's, they still made it very well. At first glance, there were not many flaws. It was just that the process of making it was very troublesome. Gu Qingfeng was also afraid of ghosts and almost died from fright several times. Gu Jiao did not touch the things in the wooden coffin. Even the swaddling cloth was stolen from the cloth store by Gu Qingfeng. The two made a little change. Prince Yu finally realized that he had been tricked by the girl in front of him. How dare this girl? Even the emperor of Zhao country did not dare. Prince Yu still wanted to hide something, but it was too late. Princess Consort Yu was not a fool. How could she not see what Prince Yu's disregard for his own safety meant? Her entire person was like a winter flower that quickly withered. In an instant, her eyes lost all light. Her body swayed, and she almost fell to the ground. Prince Yu threw away the wooden skeleton in his hand and quickly walked over to support the tottering Princess Consort Yu. This is not a child's skeleton. It's made of wood, don't be sad. You listen to my explanation. Princess Consort Yu's tears fell down in large droplets. Gu Jiao had already done what needed to be done. The rest was up to the two of them. Princess Consort Yu was very innocent, but her tragedy was not caused by Gu Jiao. The person who should reflect was Prince Yu. After experiencing great hope, the despair that Princess Consort Yu endured was unbearable. It was as if she had experienced the pain of losing a child again. She curled herself up in her room and cried herself hoarse. When Ming'er opened his eyes, he heard his mother crying. Ever since he could remember, he had never seen his mother so sad. He put on his shoes and ran out. At the end of the corridor, he saw his lord father standing outside anxiously. What happened in Jingkong was my fault. I shouldn't have done that. It's all my fault. Jingkong? The younger brother, who was going to be recognized? We still have Ming. Even if you don't think for yourself, think for Ming. What did Lord Father mean? What did he mean by still having him? Did he not have a younger brother? Was his younger brother not willing to go back with them? That's great. Without a younger brother, his mother would be his alone again. His older brothers and sisters had grown up. They had long stopped fighting with him for his mother. But why couldn't he be happy? His mother was sad, and he was also sad. Ming'er's nose was sour. He wiped the tears in his eyes, gritted his teeth, turned around and ran out. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that cannot be found online are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_8964286/113062831. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikuga mobile reading website. Chapter 246. The latest chapter of the book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that cannot be found online are available here. Ming'er knew how to avoid the guards in the garden. He rushed out of his residence and came to the busy street. He saw a carriage waiting by the side of the road and walked over, panting. Go to the Miracle Hall. The driver looked at him strangely. He pulled a jade pendant from his waist. Here. It was a high-quality mutton fat jade. Although the driver did not know whether it was real or fake, there was a gold ingot hanging from the pendant. It was real gold. The driver was suddenly happy. Okay, little brother, come on up. Miracle Hall, right? The one on Xuanwu Street? I promise I'll send you there. You have to be fast. Ming'er said to the driver. The driver smiled. Okay. Hurry up. Ming'er was lucky. This was indeed a carriage for running errands and not a private carriage of a rich family. Otherwise they would not be doing business with Ming'er. Moreover, the driver was not a pawnbroker. The carriage arrived at the Miracle Hall. Ming'er jumped out of the carriage. His throat was itchy, so he coughed twice. He left in a hurry this morning and forgot to take his medicine. The people in the clinic recognized this young patient. A young medicine boy came forward and asked, "Young master, are you here for a follow-up visit? Where are your parents?" Ming'er did not answer his question. Instead, he asked seriously, "Where is Jing Kong?" He was the son of a prince and the grandson of the king. He had the aura of a royal family. When he became serious, the medicine boy was stunned. The medicine boy said blankly, "Are you talking about Miss Gu's brother? He did not come to the clinic. He must have gone to school." "Where does he go to school?" Ming'er asked again. "The Imperial College," the medicine boy said. "How do I get to the Imperial College?" Ming'er asked. "Go forward. You can see the cloth store in front. Go west and you will reach it." As soon as the medicine boy finished speaking, Ming'er ran out. The medicine boy scratched his head and was confused. Ming'er went to the Imperial College. The Imperial College was not over yet. He could not enter. He used his identity as the envoy of the Liang Kingdom, but no one believed him. He could only wait at the door. He had forgotten to put on extra clothes when he went out, so he was wearing casual clothes at home. His clothes were a little thin. It was a sunny day today, but the wind wasn't weak either. It was chilly and made him shiver a little. He paced back and forth at the entrance, sometimes squatting under a tree to look at the ants, sometimes looking up to count the leaves on the tree. He didn't know how much time had passed, but the Imperial College was finally dismissed. The gate was opened, and a large number of Imperial College students filed out. He plunged into the crowd and went against the flow into the Imperial College. As long as one had a mouth, it wouldn't be hard to find basic knowledge. Little Jing Kong slowly walked out of the elementary school. The elementary school children all went to the cafeteria to eat. They ran very fast. Among the large group of 7, 8, and 9-year-old children, only the 4-year-old little Jing Kong was particularly eye-catching. Ming'er saw this glutinous rice ball at a glance. Her little face was serious and cute. Did mother like this? Ming'er felt that this little fellow was not that annoying after all. He strode over. Jing Kong. Little Jing Kong was startled by the sudden appearance of the huge creature. He raised his head to take a look. That's right, he raised his head. Because he was too short, he had to raise his head to look at everyone. How annoying. It's you. Little Jing Kong's little face became serious again. Do you want to fight again? No. Ming'er felt that there were too many people here, so it was inconvenient for him to fight. He grabbed little Jing Kong's hand. Oh my God, what a small hand. Ming'er was afraid that he would break this little hand. But why was this little hand so soft? Ming'er pinched it, then pinched it again. Oh, it was so fun. What do you want? Niu Hulu, Grandpa little Jing Kong, asked in disdain. He almost forgot about the important matter. Ming'er was embarrassed and said to little Jing Kong, "Follow me." After that, he dragged little Jing Kong out of the Imperial College. Little Jing Kong exclaimed, "Where are you taking me? I still have to go home to eat." Today, Ming school started class a little early, and Han Xing Tang ended class a little late, so Xiao Lulang and little Jing Kong missed each other perfectly. This situation had happened before. Little Jing Kong wouldn't run around. He would obediently wait for Xiao Lulang at the entrance of Ming school. Today little Jing Kong was dragged out by Ming'er. Ming'er dragged little Jing Kong to a corner where no one was around. She said to him solemnly and hesitantly, "All right, maybe what I'm going to say next will be hard for you to accept, but I swear that every word I say is true." He was indeed a child from the prince's mansion. His words were so eloquent. Little Jing Kong looked at him strangely. "What are you going to say?" Ming'er took a deep breath and said resolutely, "You're my brother." Huh. Little Jing Kong rejected him. "You're not my brother." Ming'er had an "I knew it" expression. See, you don't believe me. But I'm really your brother. My mother is your mother. You've seen her. Don't you like her? Little Jing Kong and Princess you had met twice. The first time was at the medical center, and the second time was at the palace. Princess Yu was a very kind madam. Like Yao, little Jing Kong liked her. But somehow, little Jing Kong felt that Ming'er's like was not what he understood. Little Jing Kong was in a dilemma. Ming'er took another deep breath and made the next decision with difficulty. I was wrong in the palace. I shouldn't have lost my temper at you. I shouldn't have pushed you. Don't refuse to go back with us because of this. Mother is very sad. She even cried. Children's thoughts were always simple. Ming'er felt that Princess Yu was the best mother in the world. If she liked her, Her brother must like her too. Her brother didn't want to go back because of her. Then she would apologize to him. Ming held little Jing Kong's hand and promised, I won't bully you anymore. I'll protect you. The prince's mansion is very good. It has a very big courtyard, a lot of delicious food, and many servants and horses. I can teach you how to ride a horse. I can also teach you how to shoot an arrow. Come back with me. Seeing that little Jing Kong didn't speak, he said again, Every child has a father and mother. You should be with your father and mother. Mother didn't abandon you on purpose. She thought something happened to you. Now she and father have come back to look for you. If you don't want to acknowledge them, mother will continue to be sad. Little Jing Kong thought seriously for a moment and said to Ming, but I want to be with Jiao Jiao. Ming was surprised. Jiao Jiao is not your mother. Who was Jiao Jiao? Ming had said everything that needed to be said, but mother was still crying in the courtyard. Ming couldn't wait for Jing Kong to nod. She directly pulled Jing Kong to the direction of the Imperial Garden. He remembered the way he came, and also remembered that it wouldn't take long to get there by carriage. But he underestimated the speed of the carriage and overestimated the speed of walking. They were sweating profusely. Little Jing Kong looked at him speechlessly. Where are you taking me? Home. Ming held his hand with one hand and used the other to wipe the sweat on his forehead. He held his hand tightly, afraid that he would lose his younger brother. Ming's luck seemed to have run out. They walked to a deserted street. Suddenly, a well-dressed middle-aged man came over. He had a kind face and a kind smile. He looked like a good person. He stopped in front of Ming and little Jing Kong and said with a kind smile, Little brother, where are you going? Why aren't your parents with you? Did you get separated from your parents? Ming looked at him vigilantly. It's none of your business. Back off. The young master from the imperial residence was used to ordering people around. Naturally, he wouldn't take a commoner seriously. His orders were always effective. He didn't know that it was because he was always followed by the imperial residence's guards. Now that he was alone with a 4-year-old child, he instantly lost all of his deterrence. After all, no matter how fierce a cub was, it was still a cub. No adult sheep would be afraid of a tiger cub. The middle-aged man smiled. Instead of backing off, he reached out his hand to touch little Jing Kong's head. Don't touch my brother. Ming slapped his hand away decisively. Little Jing Kong suddenly pointed across the street. Uncle, someone is calling you over there. The middle-aged man turned his head to look. Little Jing Kong took the opportunity to grab Ming and run away. They ran until they reached a crowded place. Ming was out of breath. Little Jing Kong had a good physique and didn't pant too much. Why are we running? Ming asked weakly. That's a trafficker, little Jing Kong said. A trafficker is a human trafficker. He will kidnap children. Ming was puzzled. How do you know? Little Jing Kong said. I guessed. When he was walking chickens in the countryside, the villagers always liked to joke with him, saying that he was too young to be taken away by a trafficker. Jiao Jiao also taught him not to talk to strangers casually. Ming looked back. The man didn't seem to catch up with them, but he was still a little scared. Then let's go. They continued to walk forward. Unfortunately, Ming's good luck had already run out on the way here. The middle-aged man whom they had avoided finally caught up with them. In public, he actually walked up to the two of them angrily and picked up little Jing Kong. Then he slapped Ming to the ground. He pointed at Ming and scolded. What kind of brother are you? I just said a few words to you. And you ran away with your brother, right? Don't you know that your brother is still sick? How did I give birth to such a bastard like you? Ming was furious. Nonsense. You're not my father. The middle-aged man pointed at his nose. Fine. Bastard. You don't even recognize your father now. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. People surrounded them. A woman cried and rushed over, protecting Ming in her arms. Master, don't hit the child. It's all my fault. I didn't take good care of him. Go away. Ming struggled. Big drops of tears fell from the woman's eyes. She was truly anxious. Son, don't be stubborn with your father anymore. Your father forced you to go to school for your own good. Ming shouted angrily. Go away. You're not my mother. The man slapped Ming-er again and Ming-er fainted. How is she not your mother? She's your stepmother. She's your mother. It turned out that stepmother and biological father had such a relationship. No wonder this child kept saying that he didn't recognize them. He probably hated his stepmother, and even his biological father. This kind of thing was not rare, so no one suspected that it was fake. The middle-aged man kicked the woman a few more times. Every kick landed on the woman's body. This way the show was even more real. Ming-er's struggle was seen as rebellion in the eyes of the crowd. Ming-er's heart was filled with endless anger, and he felt deeply afraid and helpless with Shi Yi. If he had known, he wouldn't have come out by himself. He was abducted by the pawnbroker, and so was his younger brother. The two of them would never see their mother again. In the end, the middle-aged man carried little Jing Kong, and the woman supported Ming-er, who was already weak, and left the scene. No one would report this kind of family matter to the authorities, so the crowd quickly dispersed. The two of them came to a secluded courtyard, and threw the two children into the house. The middle-aged man wanted to use some drugs on the little one, but the little one was scared silly from the beginning. He didn't even know how to cry, so the middle-aged man didn't want to bother. After all, the knockout drug was very expensive, and it could easily harm the body. Such a small child was very delicate, and if he didn't wake up, they would lose a lot of money. Master, these two children are good. The woman changed her weak and dazzling image in front of others, and showed a sarcastic and proud look. The middle-aged man looked at the two children lying on the ground with satisfaction, and said with a smirk, "Yes, it's been a long time since I got such high-quality goods. They can definitely be sold at a good price. Where's old Lu?" The woman said. "He went to prepare the carriage. We'll send them out of town in a while." The middle-aged man looked at the two coldly and said, "Let's change their clothes first. Shave their heads too." Okay. The woman went to another room to prepare clothes and a razor. The man closed the door of the two children's room, and walked to the front yard. He poked his head out to look around, and then closed the door vigilantly. The fear in little Jing Kong's eyes disappeared. He crawled to Ming-er, pushed his arm and whispered, Brother Ming-er, wake up." The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. All the novels that can't be found on the internet are available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_896428286/113038856. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in a second. www.zhhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. Chapter 247. Please scan the QR code below to download the app for more interesting content. The novel will be updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels will be read for free. All the novels that can't be found on the internet are available here. The man's two slaps were ruthless. Ming-er was injured and dizzy. Little Jing Kong took out a peanut candy from his pouch and put it in his mouth. "Have some candy first. Jiao Jiao said that eating candy will give you strength." I'm sorry," Ming-er said weakly. "What did you say?" Little Jing Kong didn't hear him clearly. He leaned close to Ming-er's mouth, wanting to hear what he said. At this moment, the woman came over with a razor and clothes. At the same time, a few men's voices could be heard from the front yard. There were more than 3 bad guys. The woman went into the house. Little Jing Kong had to give up on waking Brother Ming-er. The little one looked obedient and didn't get beaten or tortured. He was very clean. The woman grabbed him and shaved his head. Little Jing Kong felt like he had nothing to live for. The hair that he worked so hard to grow out was gone just like that. Jiao Jiao said that he would be able to prune his hair in a month. After the woman shaved Little Jing Kong's head, she changed Little Jing Kong into a poor child's clothes. To be honest, the child didn't cry or make a fuss. Other than being a little timid, he was actually quite likable. For a moment, The woman wanted to keep the child and raise him so that he could take care of her and her master. However, she shook her head when she thought about her master's attitude. Forget it. The money was more important. Besides, he wouldn't agree anyway. The woman shaved the children's heads and changed their clothes. Then, she applied some yellow powder on their faces to make them look malnourished and emaciated. She also drew some spots on their faces with cinnabar. They looked completely different from before. Even their own parents wouldn't be able to recognize them at a glance. Are you done? The middle-aged man urged from outside. Yes, yes. The woman walked out and asked, do you want to give them some medicine? The middle-aged man looked at the two people in the house. Just now he had used too much force and injured the child. He was worried that the child would die from the medicine. As for the little one, he was scared silly. What medicine should he use? No need. You and Old Lou send them out of the city. Old Lee and I still have 2 jobs to do. This was a new business opportunity. His luck today was simply too good. The woman smiled like a blooming flower. All right. The woman and Lao Lu carried the 2 children into the carriage. They had to leave the city before dark, but they could not take the main street because it was easy to run into patrolling city guards. They took small paths and twists and turns, all of which were sparsely populated alleys and hutongs. After walking for some time, the candy in Er's mouth melted completely and flowed into his stomach. He actually regained some strength. He slowly opened his eyes and realized that one of his hands was tightly held by little Jing Kong. He opened his mouth and was about to speak when little Jing Kong beat him to it. Mother, I want to drink some water. The woman trembled. What did you call me? Mother. Little Jing Kong said in a silly and adorable manner. Was this child an idiot? He actually called her mother? The woman looked at the beautiful little face and was completely mesmerized. You. I want to drink water, little Jing Kong said coquettishly. The woman's heart suddenly softened. She greedily held little Jing Kong's shoulder and said softly, What did you call me? Call me again. Mother, little Jing Kong said softly. The woman was overwhelmed by little Jing Kong calling her mother. She quickly took a water bag and gave it to little Jing Kong. This was clean water. She had not drunk it yet. Little Jing Kong gulped down a few mouthfuls and returned the water bag to her. Thank you, mother. The woman was grinning from ear to ear. Even if it was just a short moment, she still enjoyed the moment in front of her. Mother, I want to pee. Little Jing Kong suddenly covered his little buttocks and said. The woman was shocked. She lifted the curtain and looked outside. Then she looked at little Jing Kong. You can pee in the carriage. I can't pee in the carriage. Little Jing Kong's face turned red. When a person compromised on one thing, it was not difficult to compromise on the second thing. The woman hesitated for a while and asked Old Lou to stop the carriage. Old Lou said, He wants to pee. Just ask him to pee in the carriage. Don't bother. The woman said, I want to pee too. Do I have to pee in the carriage too? Old Lou cursed a few times. In the end, he stopped the carriage in an alley and said impatiently, Hurry up, don't let anyone see you. The woman glared at him and got off the carriage with little Jing Kong. Of course, the woman would not bring little Jing Kong to a restaurant or tea house to use the toilet. At most, she would find a corner for him. It's here. The woman pointed at a dirty corner. Oh. Little Jing Kong lowered his head to untie his belt. I can't untie it. Why don't you know how to untie your belt? You're such an idiot. The woman thought the child was cute, but in the blink of an eye, her patience ran out. Just as she bent down to untie little Jing Kong's belt, little Jing Kong suddenly raised his hand and threw a handful of sand into her eyes. There was a small sandbag in his pocket, and he had secretly opened it when they were in the carriage. The woman was blinded by the sand and screamed, Little bastard! Old Lou! Catch him! He ran away. Old Lou, who was in the carriage, heard the noise and quickly jumped off the carriage. He rushed towards little Jing Kong. Little Jing Kong tried to run, but in the end, he fell and rolled to Old Lou's feet. Old Lou was speechless. Little Jing Kong was speechless. Would you believe me if I said I didn't do it on purpose? Haha. Old Lou picked the little guy up. Calm down, calm down. Little Jing Kong touched his little bald head. I got it. Iron head technique. Watch my iron head technique. Squeak. Little Jing Kong used his little bald head to hit Old Lu's head. It was a very forceful hit. Both of them were stunned. Little Jing Kong was the first to react because he was in pain. Didn't they say he wouldn't feel pain after he practiced the iron head technique? Little Jing Kong touched his little bald head with his two little hands. He was confused. Where's my iron head technique? Where's my iron head technique? Iron head technique. I don't have the iron head technique. Little Jing Kong, who finally remembered that he didn't have the iron head technique, suddenly broke down. Wah! Old Lu was so scared that he threw away the child in his hands. Little Jing Kong fell to the ground, got up, and ran away. He shouted, "Help! Help! Help!" No, he couldn't shout like that. Fire! Fire! What a big fire! The house is burning down. We'll be burned to death if we don't come out. Sure enough, the residents who didn't care about what was happening outside ran out of their houses one after another, and the number of people on the street suddenly increased. At this time, Ming also got down from the carriage. He had recovered some of his strength, and the two of them ran forward desperately. The bandit had never seen such a cunning child. How did he think of shouting fire? There were too many people, and Old Lu and the woman were blocked halfway. They successfully escaped from the clutches of the two people. However, they didn't expect that although they got rid of the two people, they met the other two people. The middle-aged man held a wooden stick and walked towards them sinisterly. What are you shouting for? Why aren't you shouting? Little Jing Kong. Of course I'm shouting at the top of my lungs. Little thing, you've been pretending to be stupid and spoiling my plans. He had a new goal, but it was ruined by this child's shouting. The middle-aged man couldn't take it anymore. He raised the wooden stick in his hand and hit Little Jing Kong to vent his anger. Seeing that the wooden stick was about to fall on Little Jing Kong's head, Ming suddenly took a step forward. With his back facing the man, he used his weak body to protect Little Jing Kong tightly in his arms. Ming couldn't feel anything after the wooden stick fell on him. He slowly fell to the ground and looked at Little Jing Kong, who was gradually blurring, and shouted with the last of his strength, "Hurry! Go!" When Ming woke up, he was lying on an unfamiliar bed. The ceiling was made up of strange beams. He couldn't see the beams in the prince's mansion because of the Chengchen. Ming had been unconscious for so long that he forgot that he wasn't in the Liang kingdom. Ming, you're awake. Princess Yu's tear-filled face entered Ming's sight. Mother, Ming said weakly. His voice was so soft that he almost couldn't hear himself. Mother is here. Mother is here. Princess Yu wiped her tears, held her son's hand and kissed it. She choked with sobs and said, "It's good that you're awake. You scared Mother to death." Ming felt that something was missing. He suddenly remembered everything. He turned to look at Princess Yu and asked, "Brother, is he all right?" Princess Yu didn't expect that the first thing this child asked was about his brother. Of course, she knew why he asked this. Little Jing Kong had told her everything. She choked and shook her head. "He's fine. Jing Kong is fine." Ming raised his hand weakly and wiped away Princess Yu's tears. "I found my brother. Mother, don't cry anymore." The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. All the novels that can't be found on the internet are available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_89642286/113036484. HTML Genius memorized the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Bikugo mobile reading website. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.